and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnocky, and as always, I'm here with Jess Perkins and Matt Stewart.
G'day, boys!
Hey. What a pleasure to be here.
I was trying something new.
So good to be alive. That's something I've been thinking about. And it's so good to have Dave back in now for 2 weeks in a row.
That's right, 2 in a row. I'm back, baby. I am back.
Well, let's see if you can do 3.
He's fine.
This week, we are joined by an esteemed guest, a returning friend of the podcast. Cameron James is also here. Woohoo!
G'day, boys.
I hear you've heard the new catchphrase.
I really like it.
It's fun, isn't it?
It's fun to say. You stretch out g'day and then you hit boys real hard and fast at the end.
Boys is a real staccato at the end. There's
Yes.
a bit of music. Cam will get that. You guys won't understand that.
I get it. As a muso, I get it. How's everyone doing? Thanks for having me.
Man, I mean, we're delighted to have you back. Your reports are always so much fun. And I think I can speak for all of us when I say we're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could be better.
Fine, yeah.
Of course,
I'd
we could be better.
I'd agree with fine as a base level, yeah.
Yeah.
Cam, it's down here in Melbourne. March, this is our Christmas time. We don't do Christmas like you do up there in Sydney.
You guys do it in March?
We do it but we call it something a little different. We call it the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, and it kicks off at the end of March. So the start of March is sort of like what you would have as Christmas Eve.
Sure.
But you always come down. I can't believe you didn't realise this was our Christmas.
That's true. I think of it more like Hanukkah. It's not just one night. It's a festival. It's a whole season.
And we have big candles as well, don't we?
Yeah, there's the big candles out the front of Melbourne Town Hall. and all the comedians gather around and blow them out one at a time at the end of every week.
That's beautiful. No, you're right. Actually, I can't believe I haven't seen that before. It's clearly Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Hanukkah.
And am I saying that right? Because I've heard some people say Chanukah. Was that
I don't think anyone's ever said that. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's Hanukkah with a silent ch.
I thought I'd heard someone say Chanukah. I just said Hanukkah on an episode of this show a few months ago, and someone sort of slightly patronisingly said, "Oh, Matt had a go at saying it." And so I said it wrong, and I thought maybe it was the ch part might have not been silent.
So your way is not to look it up; it's just to try a new way.
Eventually, you'll get there. I haven't thought about it since, and now it came up. I thought, what a great opportunity to find out.
Is it because it's supposed to be more of like a chs,
maybe
kind of sound?
Yeah.
But you've just gone, well, that clearly is Chanukah.
Well, because I've seen it written, I've seen it spelled like Chanukah sometimes. Have I not seen it spelled like Chanukah? It doesn't matter.
I think you might have seen it spelt like that, because now that you're saying this, I think I've seen it spelt like that.
So I've seen
Oh
it
my
spelled
God,
like
imagine
that.
if we're all, God, Matt, you idiot. And then that Twitter guy's going to get in contact and say, you nailed it.
You nailed it.
No, yeah, I think it's spelled anyway. Why are we in a place we don't?
Yeah, what you had tried to do was a great segue into
You were
the comedy
so good
festival.
at segueing to comedy festival,
Yeah.
and then you got into the Chanukas
Yeah,
of it all.
yeah.
So
Let Dave take over.
Yeah.
My eye is literally twitching, which has been doing. It does it when I'm stressed, and it's so funny that this has brought it on.
yeah, that's the most I've ever seen it twitch.
It feels like it's going off right now.
We do love the Melbourne International Comedy Festival time of year here in Melbourne. We're doing some live podcasts, which is great fun. And Cam, you're coming down to do your new show, which you're also touring around Australia. And there's, it's a full story you've got going on this year, which I'm so excited to see. I've just seen the blurb and heard you describe it a couple of times. You want to tell us what it's about? Because the concept, I'm very excited.
Sure. The show is called Mixtape, and it's what I like to do with my shows, guys. Thanks for asking about my process. Is combine storytelling and music. Can you believe it?
Is that for the first ever time?
Well, do you know what's actually psychotic, Dave? Is when I was coming up with this show, I said to someone, I think I've invented a new form of comedy. I've got a story running through the show, but then I've got songs breaking up the story. And I think no one's ever done that before. And then my wife was like, that's musicals.
You've written a musical.
I was like, holy shit. What the fuck is wrong with me? I thought I'd invented something. And then she's like, yeah, like the oldest form of entertainment. I felt so dumb. But yeah, I've got, I am, so my last show that I toured around, Electric Dreams, was mainly set in the early 2000s. It was my recollections of high school. This, I'm stretching myself and I'm telling a story that is set in the late 2000s.
Nice.
Okay.
It's all set in 1 year when I was 21 and I had my first serious relationship. But more importantly, I got my first real job, which was as a singing waiter at a horror-themed dinner theatre restaurant in Newcastle.
That's when my ears pricked up. When
Yeah.
I read that part.
And the message of the story is having to choose between those two things, the love or the career. And I mean, you got to come to the show to see which one I pick.
You've got a heart out today, don't you? Because you've got to get down to the Yellow Submarine Theatre restaurant after this. Is that correct?
I'm playing exclusively theatre restaurants on this tour. So if some more could open up, that would be good because I think they are a dying art form.
Apparently in the 80s, there were like 18 in Melbourne or something. Tony Martin said when he moved over, he counted them up and it was something like 18 or some wild amount.
It's crazy.
Must have been the centre of the theatre restaurant universe, Melbourne, briefly, I think.
Melbourne was huge for it. I've done my research. Melbourne was huge for it. There was a bar called like Mary and John's Tiki Lounge or something like that. And it was in the middle of city and it blew up. Everyone loved it. And then more came out of that. Even Newcastle in the early 2000s had 3 theatre restaurants.
Wow.
Isn't that insane? Like, why? One is more than enough.
And
But we had 3.
The one that you worked at, where would it sit, like in the rankings of those 3?
Great question.
Were you at the top one, or were you?
Great question. Well, we lasted the longest.
Okay.
But I don't know if that's an endorsement or just like a cockroach surviving a nuclear fallout.
Well, Melbourne's longest lasting one is Witches and Britches, I reckon. And that's, I don't know if it's still open, but the building's still there. And as a kid driving past it, it was very exciting to see that facade.
Yeah. Yep.
It's a great facade.
It looks
That-
like Castle.
Yeah.
Like
that one
and
got
purple.
shut down. That one got shut down because they found out that the owners were brewing their own spirits.
Okay.
In
Not
the
even
bar. They were, like,
distilling it? They were brewing them.
they were adding hops and stuff. Yeast. Yeah, they were like making their own gin or something in a bathtub. That's what I remember reading. So like they're all a bit dodgy.
That's amazing. I drank that. A kid at school made his own vodka one year when we were in like year 11, and that party was wild. It was like this brief period where everyone was off their heads, and then people were just spewing in every garden, every pot plant available.
And that kid looking around being like, this party rules.
I'm going to be remembered forever.
That is insane. That's really dangerous, Matt. You could have all like gone blind.
Yeah, I know.
We had nerve damage.
Isn't that such reckless behaviour?
Yeah.
It's just weird for a 17-year-old to be like that. But
Most 17-year-olds are quite sincere and genuine and serious.
So looking forward to your show, Cam, but you're here this week to give us another fantastic report. We've had you on in the past for the Guinness Book of World Records, The Matrix.
13th Beatle? No, 13 days as a Beatle.
13 days as the 13th Beatle. An honorary roadie.
I mean, there's been so many fifth Beatles over the years that there probably are about 13. 13 fifth Beatles. Yeah, that's right. That was the last one I did solo. That was good fun. I have another music-themed one for you this week.
Great.
Very, very exciting. Now, should we quickly explain to people who may not have heard the show before? Matt, how does the show work?
So one of the 3 of us, or 4 of us in this case.
The fourth Beatle?
Because our 13th Beatle's in today. We go away and we report. We write up a report after researching a topic. It's basically like a school oral presentation. We bring it back, tell the others about it while they usually sort of rudely interrupt a lot and go on dog shit riffs and make the person doing the report sit there like, okay, I was actually about to get to a pretty important bit here.
Can I jump back in yet, or have you finished having fun?
And then hopefully we'll make eye contact and realise how tense it's feeling for you, and we'll say, oh, please do go on. And anyway, this week, Cam James, very lucky to have him in to do another report. We normally start the reports with a question. I don't know if we're doing that this week, Cam.
No. I always forget. I think every time I forget.
Well, that's probably our job to
that's on
remind you,
us.
to be honest.
Yeah, as you were explaining, I was like, we should have reminded Cam about the question.
I always forget every single time.
Well, we started with the question. The question was, do you have a question? You said no. We said correct. Now we start the report.
That counts as a question, I think.
Yeah.
I have a question, but it's not really relevant. My question is, that can of Glen 20 that was behind Jess earlier, is that going to be a part of the episode, or is that just sort of here?
I put it away. I can bring it back up if you want, but there are actually 2 cans of Glen 20 behind me.
God.
Whoa!
Yeah, we are flush with Glen 20.
Keep It On Studio is doing pretty well.
Very well. There are tissues in here again this week.
You know, WD-40 stands for water displacement, and it was the 40th test he'd done or whatever.
Oh.
I didn't know
is
that.
Glen 20 like... was it the 20th Glen who came over? They kept getting different Glens in, trying to make a cleaning product, and finally the 20th Glen.
Yeah. The 20th Glen is the 13th Beatle. Yeah.
13 days as a Glen. Get the fuck out.
I've put the Glen 20 back up for you, Cam, so that will just be there ready for you to just look at whenever you need it. So
I think it's good because if this story gets too like stinky or dirty or whatever, please feel free to spray me down. That would be appropriate.
Is that what Glen 20 does? It's more of an odor suppressant. Is that right?
I actually don't know.
I don't know what it does.
This one's an all-in-one, so it does actually neutralise odours.
Okay.
But it also disinfects surfaces and removes bacterial odours from fabrics.
Sounds like the perfect deodorant.
That does everything.
By the way, this has been the most natural segue into an ad, I think, that any of us have ever done.
Thank you. We've gotten really good at it. Thanks to Glen 20.
And we were so complimentary of their product. Who is it? What the fuck is it?
And we're now doing ads on spec, so we send them into them and say, we can edit this out unless you want to pay us.
We send it to them with an invoice.
Yeah. Or you can, if you hate it, you can pay us to edit it out because we really bagged the product.
You pay us either way,
that's
and then we'll do what you want us to do.
Yeah. That's how we all have mansions.
Yeah, fuck yeah. How good is it being rich?
Oh, man.
That's the best.
I was hesitant at first, I'll be honest. I was like, I'm getting pretty rich. I don't know about this. I feel silly for that now because
tell you
it
what,
rules.
I'm never going back.
Oh, yeah.
Never going
Come
back.
back. Nah, rich is actually way better.
Yeah.
It's so much better than
so
good.
much better than
I
the
go to the
alternative.
supermarket. I don't even worry about the increase in prices.
I mean,
don't
the
worry
fact that you
about it.
still go is amazing.
Oh,
I
well, I
got a
say
guy.
I order it online, and a man brings it to me.
Is it Glenn?
It's Glenn.
Glenn 21.
Okay, that's a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hey, should I do it? Should I dive in? All right. I just want to say at the beginning, before I begin this report, 2 things. I've got a name for this report.
Ooh.
I like to give it a name. It's always fun,
Is it Glenn?
Oh, that'd be awesome. Are there any musician Glenn rock stars that you can think of? Glenn
Campbell, country musician.
Fantastic.
Okay,
We've got
great.
one. Happy now. Thank you.
Yep. There's probably others.
Glenn Ridge, we had him.
Glenn Ridge.
Did you mention Glenn Ridge?
You started as muso?
Yeah, I should assume so. Glenn Ridge. Everyone gets their start in TV from music.
Yeah. Or football, or reality TV.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe he was a footballer.
They're the things that you do. The name of this report is The Rock and Roll Murderer.
Oh.
Whoa.
Holy shit.
Okay. I like this.
I can
bad.
see why you use that title because I'm in.
Yeah.
Not bad. See, that's a hook. And I also want to say as well, it is a music-themed one. As you can probably guess from the title, it also involves crime.
Yep.
And the reason I've picked this is because my show this year that I'm touring also has a story element at the intersection of music and crime.
Right.
And I'm it's sort of like a sweet spot for me. I love this whole, like show business meeting like a true crime element. It's a real fun era for me. And hopefully one day my show gets adapted into a movie as well.
Mm-hmm.
As this should. This should also be a movie. Okay. Shall I begin?
Please.
Here we go. This story begins on May 10, 2001. Just to get the dates right for you there. Mm-hmm. A 56-year-old man named Vinnie Taylor is peacefully fishing off the pier outside his South Florida retirement community home when suddenly he's swarmed by police and 4 US Marshals, handcuffed, dragged into a white van and arrested for murder. The thing that made this even more salacious is that Vinnie Taylor was once the lead guitarist and singer of one of the biggest rock and roll bands to ever come out of the 1960s, a band called Sha Na Na. Now, my first question for you guys is, do you know Sha Na Na?
I do know when Homer says, "Bring on Sha Na Na!" That's kind of my...
Of course it's a Simpsons reference.
My touchstone for that.
What about you, the other two, Jess and Matt? Do you guys know who they are?
I know the name, and now I'm realising that's possibly from The Simpsons. But I don't know the songs, but the name rings a bell. Yeah, Matt?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure either. I don't think it... yeah. I mean, I'm sure I've heard songs where they say Sha Na Na.
Sure. Yep.
Is that them? Do they sing all the songs with Sha Na Na in it?
Weirdly, they do.
Sha Na Na, Sha Na Na Na, Sha Na Na Na. Is that one of those?
Goodbye. No, you're way off base. Actually, but the Simpsons reference is probably where I first heard of them too. I think... But that's pretty much everything from 20th century pop culture.
It really is.
Yeah.
I'll know about it from The Simpsons for about 10 years and then finally get it one day and then go, that's what that Simpsons joke is about.
It's funny that sometimes I think it's less funny once I understand it though. Sometimes I'm like, as a kid, I'm like, that's so good.
That's gotta be...
I'm like,
yeah. Oh, that is something.
A real band.
I thought it was just rhythmically, it sounded really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Sha Na Na, you probably have seen them before. Have you guys all seen the movie Grease?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so in the movie Grease when they go to the dance and there's a band playing on stage, a band called Johnny Casino and the Gamblers. And they play there's the dance contest is going on where Danny and Sandy are supposed to be dancing together.
Yeah.
But then Danny goes rogue and then he starts dancing with Cha-Cha and Sandy gets upset and leaves. So the band on stage, they're called Johnny Casino and the Gamblers in the movie, but in reality, they are Sha Na Na.
I think Johnny Casino and the Gamblers is better.
That's so good.
They should have adopted that permanently. That rules.
It is such a good name.
It's
when
so
I was
good.
in high school, I kept pitching that name as a band name to my bands. I kept pitching Johnny Casino and the Gamblers and Bill Posters and the Prosecutors.
Oh, that's good.
It took me 2 seconds, but that's good stuff.
Worth it. I will get to the murder in a second, but I think the impact of this story will hit a little bit harder if we all have a little context for who Sha Na Na are and who Sha Na Na aren't. Which is one of the worst sentences I've ever written down. And saying it out loud, I was like, why the fuck did I write that? That's terrible.
Because it's great.
So if you ever look up pictures of this band, you'll see they're quite a big band. And I don't just mean popularity-wise, I mean numbers-wise. There's literally 12 members of this band. Yeah, 12 people.
In a rock band?
In a rock band?
You don't see that in a rock band.
No, you
Horn
don't.
section? We talking big horns or something?
No, strangely. They're pretty much... All right, this is where it gets even weirder. They're pretty much all singers. And there's a couple of musos in the band. So they kind of have a crazy beginning, Sha Na Na, and maybe I should get into it. So if you look up photos, and maybe you are doing that right now, Dave, but they...
I definitely am. And I'm looking at these guys going, they've got some beautiful voices. I can just feel it.
Oh, wow.
12 boys, by the way. No girls, of course.
Classic.
And their look, as you can probably see, is pretty like 50s rockabilly style, like tight white t-shirts, black leather jackets, slicked back, greaser hairdo. And if you ever listen to their stuff, that's pretty much exactly what they do. They do classic rock and roll songs, classic doo-wop songs, you know, crunchy guitars, a lot of vocal harmonies. They look like they're from the 50s. They're actually not from the 50s. They didn't form until 1969. So that's, if you're counting, like a long time after the 50s, really. It's like 9 years after the 50s, basically. In fact, it is. Exactly. Their whole thing that they did could kind of be viewed as a parody of the 1950s. Right. That's kind of what they were doing. There were a bunch of guys that were slightly too young for the actual thing. And it's kind of almost like they're making fun of the shit that their older brothers and sisters were into when they were teenagers. It's almost like if, like, from people our age, it's like if the next generation below us, there was just a really popular band that was sort of making fun of MGMT or the Killers or something. Yeah. And all the young kids are like, ha, 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 isn't that funny? That's what they used to listen to. And we're like, no, it's good. What are you talking
this actually rules.
Yeah, this is
the thing that was missing from my life was more MGMT. So I'm actually stoked about this.
I'm actually loving it. Yeah. They also were a cover band. They didn't really write many original songs. They pretty much just covered classic 1950s songs, doo-wop songs and stuff like that. I guess like you'd categorize them now as a novelty band, but that phrase didn't really exist back then. And weirdly, they became incredibly famous, especially in America, because they played Woodstock in 1969.
Really?
Oh,
we did an episode on Woodstock
yeah,
a while ago.
I read out who, the set list in order of who played. So that's another name I would have said. And at the time, I probably would have said, then they brought on Sha-Na-Na or something like that.
Yeah, all the diehard fans are going to be like, yeah, Dave's already made that joke, actually. Yeah. Yeah, so how they got to that point is probably just as interesting. I mean, here's the thing. As I've already said, this is sitting right at the intersection of my interests, like music and crime and the weird mystery. So I can get bogged down in the details that might not be interesting to other people. So please feel free to spray the Glen 20 if this is getting too in the weeds. By the way, fantastic product, Glen 20.
Yeah, we're big fans over here.
You might have heard me go quiet for a bit. I'm trying to get to the bottom of the name, and it seems like a mystery. Maybe it's something you and Alexi could do a new series on. Finding Glen.
Finding Glen. I actually love Finding Glen. Yeah, okay. All right, so I'll tell you a little bit about how Sha-Na-Na came to be. This badass rock and roll group started as a glee club at Columbia University, New York City. You guys probably know what glee clubs are from the show Glee.
Of course.
I never saw Glee, but I just assumed they're like a singing club.
Yeah. It's like an a cappella group, basically. Right. It's like a group of dudes who it's their extracurricular thing they do at uni. I guess you can do drama or sport or whatever. These guys do just 12 guys just sit around and sing songs, basically. They're an a cappella group. They were called the Columbia Kingsmen.
That's still a better name
than Sha-Na-Na.
Yeah, I think I would go Johnny Casino and the Gamblers number one.
Columbia
Bill
Kingsmen.
Posters and the Prosecutors.
Okay, that's number two. Sorry, yeah.
Close second.
Number three, Columbia Kingsmen.
Yeah.
And then Sha-Na-Na.
Probably.
Then Sha-Na-Na.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Well, we can write to them and hopefully they can go back in time and change their story. They were made up of 12 uni students. They were musical theatre kids and poetry majors who were trying to become famous as a vocal harmony group, which is just awesome. Like, already that's insane that was something you could think to do in 1969.
They didn't have Netflix.
Yeah, you're like, hey, we should, you know how we all, like 12 guys that just sing with no instruments? Let's get famous for this.
The money you have to make to support 12 guys.
Yeah. They have to get really famous.
So they had 4 original songs that were like folk songs, very of the time, you know, like a Simon and Garfunkel vibe thing. And they decided to put on a showcase at uni where they'd invite a bunch of people from record labels to come and hear their original songs. They booked an hour show, but their 4 songs only made up like 10 minutes or whatever, and they needed to fill the time.
We've all done that. We've all done that.
We've all stretched it out to an hour. Start doing some riffing in there. 12 guys doing crowd work on stage. In harmony. What do you do? What do you do? Are you guys dating?
Is this your wife?
How long have you been together? No, don't look at her. You answer. So to pad out their show, they decided to do a bunch of cover songs of oldies from the 1950s, the previous generation. As we've already said, they kind of were a bit too young for it. It was sort of songs their older siblings would have played. One of the original members of the band, Alan Cooper, says that there was no grand plan. We just picked these songs from the 50s because we all knew them from our childhood, and they were very easy for the band to play. And then they did the show, and according to the band, no one gave a shit about their 4 original songs, but the crowd went absolutely crazy for the 50s covers. And the uni loved it, and they were like, we need you guys to start putting on shows all the time. If you could just do those 50s songs, like it's just crushing. Like people are buying drinks, people are dancing. It's like a big party. And so they very quickly abandoned their plans of becoming a vocal harmony group, and they just leaned full into being like a 50s cover band very quickly by their second gig. And more than that, they go all out costume and choreography wise as well. So they do a bunch of dance routines to these songs. They go out and they all buy a bunch of 1950s teen rebel style outfits, you know, like the rolled up t-shirts and gold lame jackets, and they start slicking their hair back and kind of dressing like the 50s. And just for a little bit of context for you guys, at this point in American history, 1969, when people looked back on the 1950s, they weren't picturing what we picture when we picture the 50s. They weren't picturing like motorcycles and leather jackets and like greases or hoods or whatever. The main image of like the 50s back then was wholesome, all-American, preppy stuff. Like the show Leave It to Beaver and the Little Rascals and like, you know, Eisenhower. It was all like very buttoned up, preppy jackets, you know.
More like
those.
Ron Howard from Happy Days, not the Fonz.
Oh my
Totally.
God. Oh
More
my
Ron
God.
Howard.
You've nailed it in one. Yeah.
And you know what? It was also interesting. Happy Days had not come out yet. So this is pre-Happy Days. But there's a couple of rebels in history, obviously. There's Elvis was like the leather jacket dude, James Dean. There's a movie Blackboard Jungle, which is about bikers and stuff. So, but the rebel figure was kind of like minor in pop culture. These guys, they were just like, hey, let's all dress like James Dean, basically. That would be cool.
Fun.
if we all just be the cool guy in the band. And
No, I'm the cool guy.
hey, all 12 of us are the cool guy. And so like they all decided to dress as the cool rebel guy and lean into this James Dean look about them. They all started slicking their hair back with gel, which one of the members who'd never used gel before referred to as disgusting grease. And can I just say, this is the first time in history that anyone refers to hair gel as grease. This predates the movie Grease.
Wow.
This predates the Happy Days. But they all thought that was funny, so they all started calling it grease as an in-joke.
Wait, so they came up with greases and everything is from... That's
these guys.
wild.
So back then,
Wow.
when people talked about these like rebel figures, like, you know, James Dean, whoever, they weren't ever called greasers. They were called hoods or juvenile delinquents or JDs. No one in history had ever called them a greaser before.
Wow.
Until Shana Na, or the Columbia Kingsmen, as they were known at the time, made a little joke about referring to hair gel as grease, and then on stage they started referring to themselves as greasers.
Oh.
And they named their show, they put on this weekly show at Columbia Uni called The Glory That Was Grease, Grease, which is like it's so nerdy. They're such nerds. Like they're poetry majors. They took a line from an Edgar Allan Poe poem called To Helen, which is about Helen of Troy. And one of the lines is the glory that was Greece, Greece, and they just changed it. Like, so nerdy, but
yeah, that's the 5th best title now.
the glory that was Greece. Yeah, totally. So that became their thing, and then people started calling them Greasers when they were walking around campus, and people on campus started dressing like them because they were kind of popular and cool. So like this 50s aesthetic started infiltrating Columbia University, and everyone was like, fuck, like the 50s is cool, and like let's all dress like this, let's wear leather jackets and call ourselves greasers and shit like that. Already this is interesting, and maybe this is just me getting in the weeds, but I find it really crazy and weird.
Yeah, no, I love that. It's so funny when what we see as the 50s was a late 1960s invention almost.
Yeah, totally.
Not quite an invention, but it was taking something and
we're taking like a small subculture, and then now we all think that's what everyone was like.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah, totally. And I guess that does happen. Like a generation removed, you start to just pinpoint certain things and go, that's what we were all doing. Like, I remember watching The Wedding Singer. The first time I saw The Wedding Singer, I was like, I guess that's just what the 80s was. Everyone had huge hair and big jackets. But then when you watch, when you see photos of your parents from the 80s, like, no one dressed like that. Maybe there was one guy in each group that dressed like that, but that's now how we see the 80s, and that's how we see the 50s, thanks to these guys. So the Kingsmen, they're a big hit on campus. They get a manager, another student, this guy called Ed Goodgold, great name, who tells them they need to change their name. He tells them to change their name to Sha Na Na, which is like a classic backing vocal line from all those doo-wop songs that you were referencing, Matt. And they do, and that's a little bit of history. As a little side note about Ed Goodgold, I almost feel like this guy could have his own report as well. He lived a very weird life. I don't have time to get into all of it, even though I want to. But as well as managing Sha Na Na, Ed Goodgold is most famous for being the inventor of, wait for it, trivia.
The concept of question and answer.
What?
Like, what is trivia if not just knowledge?
Yeah, well, like, obviously, like, quiz shows and stuff had existed for a long time on radio and probably TV as well. There'd been like quiz shows, but there'd never been like pub trivia, if you know what I mean. Like, the idea of like you go to a pub and you're in a team and there's some guy asking questions and you're all competing. This guy, Ed Goodgold, started a trivia night at Columbia University, and he came up with the idea of people playing in teams and having names, and he kind of like codified what trivia has become. He published a book while he was at uni called The Rules of Trivia. and that's how it kind of kicked off and became a craze. And weirdly, as another side note, at those earlier trivia nights on campus, Sha Na Na were the house band that would play between
between questions?
Between rounds, I guess. Like, how weird is that?
Yeah.
So, like, this is the birth of trivia, which when I look back on it as a moment in time, I'm like, oh, this is the birth of nostalgia in a way. Like, nostalgia for the previous generation. Like, we've got this band that are kind of parodying their older brothers' records. And then they've got this guy who's like, hey, I'm going to make a whole night where it's just about the past. Like, can you remember things from the past? And whoever wins is the person that remembers the most from yesterday.
You are the most nostalgic because you could name every element on the periodic table.
It's very strange. So with Ed's backing, the band set out into New York City to try and get booked in clubs, but it's a huge wake-up call for them because everywhere they audition, the club owners are like, what the fuck is this shit? This is mental. What do you mean? It's 1969. It's the summer of love. It's like psychedelic, wild rock music. And then there's these 12 theater nerds all pretending to be James Dean singing covers of songs from less than 10 years ago. It's so weird.
These songs are still on the radio.
Yeah, like you'd be like, oh yeah, that song. Why? Why are you doing that? Only one club will book them. There's this place called The Scene whose booker sort of thinks they're a bit weird and funny, and he gives them a residency on Saturday nights with a regular spot at the prime time hour of 2 a.m.
Yes.
Yes. How good is that? Like, imagine if that happened with comedy too. It's like, hey, yeah, you're on, but you're on at 2 a.m. every night. It'd be fucking awesome. Like, that's how.
Imagine if that's how you got your start in an industry, like I don't know, like radio or something.
Oh yeah, true. Actually, shit.
That'd be crazy.
Sorry, Jess.
Imagine if you did that for 3 years, you fucking idiot. 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. Perfect time.
Hey, at least you have a national audience with that. These guys were in a club playing to like 40 people.
Who's there at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, who's there?
Wild.
Well, as it turns out, the scene is like a bit of a dive bar, and they kind of like they pretty much get famous for booking the weird books of the weird bands of the era around New York and around America, bands that aren't getting booked in any of the big rooms. Some of these bands you might have heard of. Let's see if you've heard of these guys. The Doors.
Yeah.
Jimi Hendrix. The Velvet Underground. Janis Joplin. Like, these are all like weirdo bands at this point. They haven't quite broke. This is pre-Woodstock, remember? So like all these weirdo bands are hanging out there, and Sha Na Na are on at 2 a.m. doing their weird review. So it's kind of weird because they start their residencies at this exact moment that all of this uncool music suddenly becomes the coolest music in the world. And the scene becomes a scene every night. It goes from being a dive bar to being packed every single night. The coolest people of New York City start coming, all the theater actors and all the artists. Andy Warhol hangs out there, Liza Minnelli, Peter Allen, Mick Jagger, Linda McCartney. All these people are there to watch the cool bands. And at every night at 2 a.m., Sha Na Na come on. And according to legend, during their first ever performance, the crowd is a bit baffled. They're a bit like, what the fuck is happening here? But then Jimi Hendrix is watching, and apparently he stands up on a table and starts cheering for them. And then the rest of the crowd starts cheering from them. And overnight, they become one of the coolest bands in New York City.
Wow.
Just because they have Hendrix's approval. Hendrix loves them so much that he gets them booked on Woodstock. In fact, he refuses to play Woodstock unless they're his opening act. So if you like look at the lineup, which you guys would have done on your app, Hendrix closes Woodstock really early in the morning on the Monday, I think.
Yeah, it's like 11 a.m. or something. Is this something crazy?
It's a really weird time. Like the party's been going all night, and then Hendrix is on like in the morning, and Sha Na Na are on before him. They do like a 20-minute set right before him. And when you watch the movie, you can see he's watching from side of stage going crazy. And weirdly, so is Marty Scorsese. And like, there's all these people watching Sha Na Na. Like, they're just, it's really bizarre. It's really cool. So he plays, they play Woodstock. It's their 8th gig at this point. They haven't.
That's so amazing.
They haven't been around for very long.
They're playing Woodstock. Their 8th ever gig.
Woodstock. Yeah, insane. And I guess like because it's like maybe the tail end of the 60s, there's a bit of flower power overkill. The hippie crowd just love it. Like, I don't know if it's ironic. It's really hard to tell, but it seems like maybe there's a touch of irony and they just get fully embraced by the hippie crowd. Everyone's loving it because it's a throwback, I suppose. They think it's funny. The set's a powerhouse of a set. It gets featured in the Woodstock documentary. Most of their set is in that documentary. It makes them famous around the country, and they start touring their show, The Glory That Was Grease, around huge theaters. That tour kicks off a wave of 50s nostalgia that takes over all of North America. The musical Grease comes out in 1971. Multiple other 50s style bands start appearing. There's a TV show called Love American Style, which inspires the movie American Graffiti, starring Ron Howard, which then inspires the TV series Happy Days, starring Ron Howard, which has a character called the Fonz, who describes himself as a greaser on screen. And then all of a sudden, greaser becomes the word everyone's using to describe this 50s throwback guy. And it's all fucking just these weird theater nerds from a uni review show that were trying to be a famous like harmony group.
So really good. That's amazing.
No. Sean and I are in Greece as well, as I mentioned. They write a couple of songs for the movie soundtrack, including my favorite song, the song Sandy, which is, when they go to the drive-in and they have a fight in the car and Sandy leaves and then Danny sings a song. Oh, Sandy, baby, someday when high school is done. I just love it. I fucking love that song.
Wow.
That's them.
And so, they actually wrote that track.
They wrote that track.
That's
they wrote
awesome.
They wrote a few songs for the movie that weren't in the musical.
What's
I guess
the process of 12 guys writing a song?
I think it's just one dude that writes the songs. I looked it up, and it's like, this song's written by Screamin' Scott Simon. And by the way, they all have cool names like that. There's like Screamin' Scott Simon. There's a guy called John Bowser Bauman. There's Vinnie Taylor, who's the main guy that I'm going to be talking about for you in a second. But we're not quite there yet. I'm almost at the end of my context for Shana Na. Okay,
Isn't it? But you've got, like, supposedly Happy Days takes place in the 1950s, and the Fonz is using these anachronistic words like greases.
Yeah,
I mean, you're bringing it all down, aren't you? You're the veil of truth that we all thought, or authenticity of the show Happy Days.
Where was the research?
Yeah, I hope that's listed as a goof on IMDb.
Greaser wasn't actually a term they used back then.
I actually
blew my mind.
I've brought this up to Alexi on one of our podcasts once. I was like, did you know the word greaser didn't even exist back then? It didn't start till the 60s and became popular in the 70s. And I thought it was interesting. Alexi couldn't have given less of a shit.
Really? We're all gripped here.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's cool. I think it's like a really fun, weird fact. Alexi was like, yeah, whatever, man.
That feels very Alexi.
I hated it. I was so upset. Yeah, in fact, I read this academic paper in my research for this report it's called Shana Na and the Invention of the 50s. And anyone who wants to read that can read that. That's online. And it's pretty much all about this stuff, that their like iconography became a replacement for what was originally like the image of the 50s people had in their head.
Wow, it's like it replaced people's memories of the 50s.
Yeah. 100%.
That's
like
so strange.
The fake version replaced the real version.
There'd be guys who were teenagers in the 50s who now believe that they were like the Fonz, you know? They were greasers. They're like, no, that was us. We did that. It's like, we've tracked down some photos, Dad, and that was not you.
You were a freaking nerd, Dad.
Yeah, you're just wearing a plaid button-up shirt, you fucking loser. All right, so I've made a bit of fun of the fact that these guys were all musical theatre dorks, pretending to be tough guys, but most of the accounts I read say there was one genuine tough guy in the band, and that was the guy from the beginning of the story, Vinnie Taylor. Vinnie was not a musical theatre kid. He's actually from the Bahamas. He played in a lot of real rock and roll bands. And when you watch the clips, you can tell he's like a really fucking good guitar player. And when you look him up, he looks the most legit of all of them. He has tattoos. He's got this like kind of strung out, sleazy New York City kind of look. He looks a bit like he was in the Ramones or something. Like he's got mutton chops and he wears like big glass. He looks cool. And he's a druggo as well. Like he's clearly like a drug guy. The other guys smoke a little bit of weed, but you can tell even just from looking at Vinnie Taylor that this guy parties a little harder than the musical theatre kids. All right, so I just wanted to give a little context for that. What else can I tell you? Okay, so after Woodstock, a lot of stuff happens for this band. They get a TV show. They're in the movie Grease. They tour around. They're 12 members. Blow out and shrink down many times during that era. They a lot of people come and go. I think over the course of like the next 10, 15 years, there's 49 members of Shana.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I pulled up their Wikipedia page and their former members section was very long. And I thought, I reckon Cam might get to this. That's insane.
There's a lot. And like some of them just quit and become stuff that's not in music. Like one of the main original members, Alan Cooper, is now a rabbi. There's another guy that's an academic, George Leonard. He writes papers for Columbia University and stuff. Most of them start touring around in like break-off versions of Sha Na Na. You know how like the Eagles do that shit and the Beach Boys?
UB40, there's two UB40s.
Yeah.
I love there's demand for multiples of certain bands. Yeah.
But
there's enough UB40 to go around.
Is it like the real Sha Na Na or Sha Na Na Na?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's all names like that. The real Sha Na Na, the original Sha Na Na.
Na Na Sha.
Well, weirdly, there is a band called Na Na Sha. But they're not official. They're like because then this starts happening too. There starts being tribute acts to their band, which is already a tribute act.
That's so good.
And one of the most popular ones is Na Na Sha, who start touring around the country and drawing almost as big a crowd.
Wow.
And Sha Na Na try to stop them, but they can't because they don't own any of these songs that they're singing. So
Hey,
everyone's like,
that cover's ours. You stop doing that cover. We did it first. We covered it first.
yeah.
Na Na Sha.
So now at this point it gets confusing because like at first we have like the real taking, like the fake taking over the real earlier, but now it's like the fake and the real are sort of entwining, and it's like no one's quite sure, you know, what even is Sha Na Na? What is Na Na Sha? What is going on? It's all just like fake versions of real things and real versions of fake things. I promise I am going to get to the murder soon. But first I need to jump forward to the late 1990s. So in this era, in the 80s, we've got a lot of copycat bands, a lot of different offshoots of the band. Some members are going solo. Some members retire from music and show business entirely. Some of them seem to disappear. In 1997, in South Florida, the home of retirement communities, there's a new guy in town. This guy shows up to South Florida. He's handsome. He's charming. He's in good shape. He's shy and polite, but he has an undeniable bad boy edge. One night, this new, handsome, old bad boy shows up at a bar, watches two doo-wop cover bands on stage. There's a band called The Saints, another band called The Mellow Kings. Their two leaders are two guys called Tommy and Joe. The bad boy watches both of their shows. Afterwards, he compliments their sets, and then he tells them that he is Vinnie Taylor, the former lead guitarist of Sha Na Na. And for these two doo-wop dudes, Vinnie is God. They can't believe it. No one has heard from Vinnie in 30 years. He's not one of the ones that went off and had his own solo thing or joined one of the real Sha Na Na bands. He just kind of faded off. And all these guys from other bands, they've been cashing in forever, but not Vinnie. He never sold out. And guess what? He's here in South Florida. It's 1997, and he wants to start a band. So Vinnie asks Tommy and Joe if they'll merge both of their bands and become his backing band. And they do. And this new band becomes a hit in South Florida retirement community scene. Like they're touring. I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a documentary called, it's either called Almost Heaven or Not Quite Heaven or something like that. It's set in this world, like the South Florida retirement community world. It's almost like entire towns are just retirement homes, if you know what I mean. Like there's this place, they call it the Disneyland of retirement communities, and it's like as big as Disneyland, Florida. And there's multiple bars and like cafes all throughout it. And there's always like oldies bands playing at them. So if you can get on that circuit, not a bad circuit to get on.
Okay.
Like constantly touring, constantly making money. People are loving them. They're a big hit. It may not be Hendrix and Warhol hanging out to watch them, but Vinny's still pretty happy with where he's found himself in life. And he starts getting into it too. He starts bringing back the old Sha Na Na style. He starts billing himself as Florida's #1 greaser, which is cool. His website says, Vinnie Taylor, the #1 greaser, the coolest of the cool, the original bad boy of doo-wop.
A great way to finish the sentence.
Original bad boy of doo-wop.
Of doo-wop.
And also, the coolest of the cool.
Yeah.
The coolest of the cool.
That is awesome.
It's a good, that's confidence right there. He starts dating a local lady named Jessica Hart. They move in together to her beachfront apartment. He's not as famous as some of the other former Band Boy members, but he's making a nice living. He's playing a lot of charity shows around the Florida Keys. He's a beloved member of the community. Local politicians love him. The cops love him. All in all, He's living a pretty nice life. There are a few odd little things, though, during this time. For one, his new bandmates, Tommy and Joe, have noticed that Vinny's guitar skills aren't quite what they used to be.
Oh dear.
I know he's in his late 50s now. Maybe he's a little bit rusty, but he doesn't play like a former legendary guitarist. In fact, he plays more like someone who's just learned the guitar in recent years.
But you haven't played for a while, you know. You sort of your fingers are getting a bit older, a bit slower.
And obviously, these two guys who he's a god to, they'd recognise him. So it's not some guy pretending to be him. Obviously,
yeah, of course.
I hope not.
Gotta be the guy. He's the
girlfriend.
He's the coolest of the cool.
Yeah,
he's the original bad boy.
You can't fake that.
You can't fake it. His girlfriend Jessica says, here's another strange thing. His girlfriend Jessica says, sometimes Vinny wakes up in the middle of the night, convinced that he hears someone at the front door, climbs out the bedroom window and runs off into the darkness.
Hey, we've all been there.
We've all regularly done that.
We all have weird quirks and
we've all had someone breaking in and left our partner to be horribly killed. I'm out of here. See you later.
Bye.
And the third strange thing about Vinnie Taylor is that Vinnie Taylor died of a heroin overdose in 1974.
Okay.
So this is a ghost?
Yeah. I mean,
well, that makes sense to why he's not very good at guitar. He can't even hold the bloody thing.
exactly.
He's going through it. Any noise out of it at all.
And he hears someone at the door. It's one of his ghost pals.
Yeah.
And he goes out the window to meet them.
To go say hello.
Go to a ghost bar.
He doesn't have to go through doors. He can float out a window.
Yeah, ghosts go through windows. Everyone knows that.
Jessica, this is just classic, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's amazing that he's got, like, I was about to say, well, this is in the days before the internet, but you've just said he's built himself on his own website as the original bad boy.
I know.
There
I'm going to get to his website a little
That's so
later.
great. Like the original bad, he's so bad that he obviously faked his own death in the 70s.
That's
Laid low, and now he's back playing the retirement circuit. That is bad.
That's bad.
Whatever
That's
he did
bad.
that caused him to fake his own death, statute of limitations up.
Yeah.
He's like,
Exactly.
I can just be, I can come back. I can live freely now. Great. I'm going to go start it. I'm going to go join two bands together and be a frontman.
Yeah, fuck yeah. So Vinnie Taylor, I will say on the record, and I don't want to spend too much time on this because all this sad shit is a bit too sad, but Vinnie Taylor did pass away in 1974, drug overdose. He was struggling with drugs. He did pass away. That is true. The question remains, who the fuck is this guy in South Florida now who's like billing himself as Vinnie Taylor? And to answer that question, I need to go back in time once more to July 25, 1969, less than a month before Sean and I played Woodstock, and the day that Elmer Edward Solly murdered his girlfriend's son. Again, very sad. Don't want to go into that too much, but there's a guy called Elmer Edward Solly who a month before Woodstock committed murder and was sentenced to a 25-year sentence in a maximum security prison. He goes by Edward, not Elmer. I'm going to call him Edward for the rest of this report, if that's okay with you guys. Don't get too cross with me. I know that Elmer is a funner name to say, but it's also
hard to say.
It's hard to say.
Elmer.
It's not a nice name.
No, not in our accent. Maybe in America, like Elmer.
And we only know the
Elmer.
most famous Elmer's Fudd as well.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Stick with Edward, I think.
I'll stick with Edward. That's a nice name. So Edward is sentenced to 25 years in a maximum security prison for murder. His mum, a lady named Edna and Elmer.
Jesus Christ.
Edna. Edna is like his patron saint from the outside. She refuses to believe that her boy is a murderer, and she begins writing letters to the DA that Edward is not only innocent, but also he's being mistreated by guards in prison. She does such a strong letter writing campaign that eventually Edward is transferred to a medium security prison. So that's a downgrade.
A powerful letter writing campaign.
God,
Wow.
do you reckon she's like saying some really cooked stuff in those letters, and that's why they're like, all right.
Oh, I don't,
You know?
Yeah.
I was thinking that maybe it was like 10 a day and they're just so bored of it. They're like, whatever, Get this guy to medium
I'm just
security.
seeing all this mail I have to read because I have to read all of it.
I was thinking that her letters included like really accurate nudes of herself. And she said there'll be more when these come from if you send my boy to another prison. You know?
But are they drawings?
Drawings, yeah.
Like she's doing drawings.
Yeah.
They
really
had cameras
accurate
back
drawings.
then. They had cameras.
What?
They had cameras
Yeah.
in the
Yeah,
60s.
Yeah, what? She was doing drawings. So.
Okay.
Never heard of a nude be described as accurate.
It's a very
Incredibly accurate nude.
Imagine if you sent a nude to someone and they wrote back, "Whoa, so accurate."
Oh, that's spot on. Oh, that's a dead ringer. Oh. Whoa.
All right, let's all try. Let's send a nude. Let's see what happens.
Let's all try it tonight, and then we'll meet back and talk about how it went. All right, so Edward gets transferred to a medium security prison. He's a model citizen. He's friendly with the inmates and the guards. He begins teaching himself music. In particular, he likes the doo-wop songs from the 1950s. What a strange coincidence. During his stay in the joint, as we call it in the biz, or in movies I've seen, Edward becomes friends with his prison psychologist. Now, I don't know anything about the rules of being a prison psychologist.
I think they're probably similar, but to being a regular psychologist, but they might maybe even slightly stricter. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say you probably shouldn't become besties with your patients. And I've tried to befriend my psychologist, and she resists.
Jess, you're very needy.
And I say, I know, bitch. Let's get a cocktail. Let's get into it.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, he's obviously a charming dude because his psych becomes his friend, which is just so crazy to me. The psych convinces the warden that Edward should be allowed to go on furlough to visit his sick grandmother. So furlough is when you get to leave, like it's a Navy saying, you get to leave the ship or whatever to go on land for like to see someone at home. Apparently some prisons do that too, where you can like leave and go visit a sick relative or something. So the first two times, the warden agrees. The first two times his psychologist accompanies him and Edward is on great behavior. The third time, his psychologist says, "You know what? You've been so good.
Here's a little treat for you.
Yeah, I trust you to go by yourself. Just make sure you're back at prison by 5 or whatever the fuck they say." And so Edward leaves and, as you probably guessed, never comes back at all. And I'd love to know there's no info in this, but I'd love to know what happened to the psychologist after that.
Can you imagine though, like the psychologist being really upset, or like something must have happened to him?
Yeah, there's got to be an explanation,
guys.
God!
Oh no! I hope he's okay. Have we checked the hospitals?
This is not like the guy who murdered that kid.
Yeah.
This is not like him. This is not like him at all.
Edward is a good boy.
He probably hit traffic. That's probably what it was.
Yeah.
He'll be here. He'll be just
Give
keep
him
tapping the watch.
15 minutes.
Edward is not seen for 25 years.
Wow.
That's a good run.
That's a really good run. Most of this time is pretty undocumented. There are a couple of instances where he does pop up, but this only gets found out after the fact. In 1975, he's arrested for theft, but he manages to walk on that because he's going by a different alias by this point. In 1979, he's arrested for speeding, but again, he has a different alias, and again, he walks.
My name is Chris Innocent. Okay.
That is such a good name. That's a good magician name.
Yeah, Chris Innocent. Why is Chris
Innocent.
such a good magician name?
Yeah, because it's like Christ, I guess.
There it is.
It makes us think of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Great magician.
The ultimate
Great
magician.
The OG. So he goes through multiple aliases over the years, and maybe it's because he loves the oldies, or maybe it's because he wanted to pay respect to an idol of his. Maybe it's just ego. But at some point between the years 1979 and 1997, he chooses the alias of deceased rock star Vinnie Taylor. He gets a birth certificate knocked up. He gets a baptism certificate, which I didn't even know was something you could get.
Wow.
He gets a social security number, all of it. He begins living life as Vinnie Taylor. He's also a wanted man during this entire time. So there's a 25-year window there where he's a fugitive and people are still looking for him. His mum, Edna, refuses to cooperate with the police the entire time for this 25-year window. They think that she was in touch with him. She's denying it. They keep threatening to, I guess, get her for obstruction of justice or whatever. And she's always like, do whatever you want, but I'm not telling you anything about my son. Like, she's a pretty badass mum, I guess.
The original bad mum.
The original bad mum of Doo-Wop. Eventually, the police give up and the case is turned into a cold case. Chief investigator, Detective Louis Kinkle, which is a good name.
That was Kinkle.
Yeah.
Louis
like that a
Kinkle.
lot.
Yeah, Louis Kinkle says, we believed we'd never find him. He'd live underground and die in the woods and we'd never know what happened to him. And no one pretty much did until 2001, as I mentioned earlier. Vinnie Taylor moves to South Florida, begins touring the retirement community scene with Tommy and Joe. The fake has now outlived the real at this point. Edward plays the part of Vinnie well. He has a custom van with a pic of him on the side.
A pic of him or the real Vinny?
Yeah.
A pic of him, actually, not the real Vinnie.
That's me. Is it?
Is it? Oh, it's a long time ago, obviously. I'm older now.
Yeah, that was before I died from a heroin overdose.
The fact that you're on the run for murder and you've got a van with your photo on the side of it is incredible.
Yeah.
Isn't
you
it crazy?
You wouldn't even think. You wouldn't think twice. You wouldn't look at it. You go, well, clearly a murderer wouldn't have a picture of their face on the van. That's more of a real estate agent.
It's just one of the most strange incidences. I still can't, someone should do a real maybe not his prison psychologist, but someone else should do a psychological report on this guy. Why would he must have had a big ego or something, right? Like, to think that he could do this and sort of, plaster his face everywhere and all this shit. So, all right, so we've got this van with his photo on the side. The license plate is SNN1, like Shanana 1. He has a gold satin Shanana jacket that he wears everywhere.
Hell
he has jewelry with the band's name on it as well. He makes his own website, which I mentioned earlier, which has since been taken down, but is still up on archive.org. Thank God for that resource. Thank God for the Wayback Machine, because I've spent a bit of time scrolling it over the last couple of days. He's got an extensive biography, a merch store, a photo gallery. This guy has a better online presence than me, to be honest. It's huge. There's a lot on here. I wonder if did I write down some of my favorite quotes from here? I did, yeah. Can I read some of them on my favorite parts?
Absolutely.
All right, so the website is shananad1.com.
Seems legit.
Yeah. It says, in 1974, Vinnie left the music scene with what could be termed a shroud of mystery.
Yes, you could term it that.
You could say that, yeah. That's such a great way to describe a death. The circumstances were only known to a select few in the industry. But the bad boy continued singing under the guise of anonymity in order to protect certain economic and personal relationships that were important to him. Although some known individuals tried to discredit him into oblivion for their own reputations and greed, the bad boy vowed to never totally disappear from music and the fans that he loved. So good. I love that he keeps calling himself the bad boy.
Yeah, the bad boy.
It's so good. And
So
it's in
funny.
italics as well, the bad boy.
It's like, we know you're writing it, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
it's so funny as well if it is ego that it is about. That reputation isn't his.
Yeah, it's somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's sort of.
But again, it's like a fantasy, though, isn't it? You get to be like, I'm a rock star.
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
all these cool things.
Yeah.
That's me. I'm a bad boy.
And you're not going to get caught for it because the real one's dead.
Yeah,
so it's
exactly.
just this foolproof way of taking over a new life.
This is another line I really liked. He honed his silken voice under the street lamps of Manhattan's Little Italy during the golden age of rock and roll. Isn't that an evocative image?
I've never heard the phrase silken voice. I love it.
It's like a Bruce Springsteen lyric, like under the street lamps of Little Italy. It's a well-known fact that when Vinnie would take the lead vocals singing a love ballad, that many, many girls would remember him until this very day.
Wow.
It's a well-known fact.
It's
People
a well-known
will
fact.
remember him. It almost feels like he's saying some huge thing, but then in the end, it's like they'll remember him.
Yeah,
sure,
they'll remember him to
vaguely,
this
but
day.
yeah, yeah. If you ask them, they'd go, "Yeah,
like-
that rings a bell."
Yeah, I think
It's like-
I think I saw him sing. Maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah, probably.
How can it be a fact that some people will remember you? A well-known,
A
well-known
well-known fact.
well-known
some
fact
women,
that some women,
only
some
women
women,
will
yeah, some
remember.
women will remember this man.
Men, not so much, but women.
The women will remember that silken voice. I'll get back to the website a little bit later. I want to say, during the 25 years that he's on the run and during the time that he's in South Florida, he does have a few close calls. As I mentioned earlier, his new bandmates, Tommy and Joe, they begin to suspect something's off and maybe he's not exactly who he says he is. So they do, in my opinion, the smart thing and contact the actual Sha-Na-Na via shanana.com, probably, and say, hey, we're in a band with Vinnie Taylor, but we think he's not the real Vinnie Taylor. Can you confirm whether he is or not? The manager of Sha-Na-Na, a guy called Peter Erlandson, he finds this very odd because Vinnie has been dead for 3 decades at this point. And he says, yeah, no, that's not him. He died of a drug. I was at the funeral. I remember. Very sad. The bandmates then confront Edward, aka Vinny, and say, hey, we rang Sha-Na-Na and they said Vinnie Taylor's dead. So what do you say to that? And then Edward says to them, okay, what I'm going to tell you is highly classified information.
This is awesome.
This is so good.
He says, I actually faked my death because I was working for the CIA at the time.
okay.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Go big.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
now's the time to go real big if you can.
Yeah, he says, Vinnie Taylor was my cover name. My real name is Danny Catalana, which is not even his real name.
So
Like,
that's just is that just a new alias altogether?
he's just got a new alias, but he's saying that was his original name. Vinnie Taylor was a cover name. He was in Sha-Na-Na, but more importantly, he was a highly trained assassin and operative for the CIA.
Okay.
All throughout the 1960s and 70s, and that's why he had to fake his own death.
I love it because he's making more things that'll be easily disproven.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, show us some of your highly trained skills. Oh, I can't do that in front of civilians.
I hurt my knee. I can't do it. Yeah. So Tommy and Joe believe it, weirdly. They're like, oh, awesome. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's actually cool.
Do you think he riffed it in the moment or he had that backup story ready to go in case they figured it out?
Yeah.
I don't know if he had the backup story, but he had a backup birth certificate. So he has a birth certificate with the name Danny Catalana on it, or Daniel Catalana or something.
And then does he carry that with him at all times? So if
He
they
must.
confront him, he's like, well, let me just reach into my pocket and blow your mind.
And once this one gets uncovered, he'll have
Another
one
one.
deeper down again.
Another one. And my actual name is Chris Innocent.
And there's a coin behind your ear.
So the band keep doing their shows, and every now and then the manager of Sha-Na-Na, Peter Erlandson, receives letters from dissatisfied customers who say they attended a terrible Vinnie Taylor show in South Florida and they want their money back. So Peter's like, he gets annoyed by this. He sends a cease and desist letter to Edward, aka Danny Catalano. Edward replies to him, no, I am the real Vinnie Taylor. I faked my death and I'm going to continue doing these shows. Peter's furious about this. And then, according to an interview with him I read, he listened to some of Edward's cover songs online because you could buy the CD. You could buy like a Vinnie Taylor CD. And he listened to it and he was like, actually, he's pretty good.
Actually, that's good.
He's like, he's actually pretty good. And then
he's a manager who knows talent when he hears it.
that softened him a bit. He was like, he's actually pretty good.
So at that point, he signed Danny Catalana.
So he goes to him like, oh, you know what? You can keep doing the show, but just please don't call yourself Vinnie Taylor anymore. Just go by your real name. And then he actually encourages him. He's like, you're really good. You could actually make it off the back of your own name.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, and he decides not to sue. He says, I didn't want to give him any more publicity. I just decided to let him do what he does. So Edward, maybe to like he's a little shaken by the cease and desist. Maybe he wants to stop any further snooping. He rebrands himself as Danny C. He's still claiming that he's one of the original members of Sha Na Na, but he's like using the name Danny C now.
There's 49 members.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, it's like,
there was a Danny C in there.
Who knows? And like his website gets rebranded around this point, 2001. He starts calling himself Danny C on the website. A couple of more things that I found on that website that I found fun to read in the updated bio. It says, even today, with his many accomplishments, Danny C is one of the few entertainers that hasn't fallen victim to the ego syndrome like many of his peers, which is just fun.
It's good because I think that everything you've said about him, that rings true for me.
Humble guy.
Yeah.
The very next sentence is, even now, while residing in his palatial estate in Southwest Florida, Danny still likes to hang out with a lot of the dedicated oldies fans and has the highest respect for them. And then he has photos of what is allegedly his palatial estate that has its own recording studio in it. He was living in his girlfriend's apartment.
Yeah.
I set up earlier.
It's just like there's a photo of him at Graceland or something.
Yeah.
just out the front of the White House. I live here.
Perhaps most notably, around this time, the photo gallery on his website, which, by the way, the URL is now shananadannyc.com. The website photo gallery starts getting populated with photos of Danny C posing with like local politicians and police officers at various community events. Like he's really going out of his way to almost rub it in the faces of the people, like, look, see, how can I be a fraud when like all the cops love me and all the local politicians love me, stuff like that.
Cops never do anything fraudulent. I don't think they'd be involved in anything fraudulent. So
true.
Famously, they're
bulletproof.
Yeah, straight as a cop. Isn't that what they say?
That's what I say.
Yeah, straight
as a Floridian cop. I'm sure they say that, don't they?
I've got that tattooed on my ass.
Yeah. So around this time, the cold case reopens. Detective Louis Kinkle, who gave up on this case several years ago, he's back on the job. He believes that technology has advanced so much that he can finally make some progress on this case. He employs a forensic artist called Frank Bender to do some aged-up versions of Edward's original mugshot.
Kinkle and Bender. What a combo.
I mean, you'd watch the show.
I would watch the show, yes.
Yeah. Frank Bender's kind of famous whenever you watch true crime stuff, especially about serial killers from the 70s and 80s and shit. It's often Frank Bender's like forensic artwork that leads to some breakthroughs in the case. His main thing was aging up. Like, here's what this guy would look like now.
Wow, that's cool.
And he helped catch a few people, including another serial killer called John List, like 25 years after his murders. At this point too, so the cold case reopens. They get Ray Bender on the job to start aging up some of the original mugshots. Around this time as well, Edward's mum, Edna, dies. She's been keeping the family quiet for the entire 25-year period. She passes away. Kinkle goes to the funeral, buddies up with the family. I'm sorry for your loss, blah, blah, blah. And he starts talking to Edna's husband after the funeral. And he says, come on, like, tell me a little bit about where Edward ended up. I know you guys know. And Edna's husband says, look, it was Edna's wishes that none of us talk about it. All I'll say is that he's a singer nowadays. And he's based in South Florida. And he goes by the name Danny C.
That's all I'm saying. You're not getting anything else out of
Also,
it.
this is his website, okay?
This is his website. This is his address.
Here's his
Staying
phone
with his
number.
girlfriend.
This is what he looks like now.
But that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, that's all I'll give you.
This is where he says his palatial mansion is. I don't know if you'll actually find him there. That's the White House.
So Kinkle goes back to the office, looks up, Danny C, South Florida singer, finds Danny C's website where luckily there's hundreds of photos of him posing with cops and local politicians and on stage and stuff. And bizarrely enough, all the photos look pretty identical to Frank Bender's updated mugshot artwork that he's done. So they employ the US Marshals to stalk Edward for a few days. During that time, they begin to believe he is him. I think I don't know if they went and watched him perform, but I'd like to imagine they do. Like they go and watch.
I'm imagining them sitting at the back of like a lounge. So like little tables, that kind of venue.
Yeah.
They're sitting at the back and they're not seen, but they have drinks with like little straws and umbrellas in them. That's what I'm imagining.
And they go to each other. Yeah. You know what? He's actually pretty good.
Are we sure we want to arrest this guy?
And they let him off.
Yeah.
There'd be crime against music to arrest this guy.
Look, you got to come clean. You got to give your real name, but I think you should perform under it.
Yeah, you're actually really good. You'd be great in prison. You should perform in prison. And then at 10 p.m. on May 10, 2001, the US Marshals and Louis Kinkle and the local police start sneaking up to the apartment that he shares with Jessica. On their way up the lawn, Kinkle spots a guy sitting on the pier fishing peacefully by himself. It's Edward, the man pretending to be Vinnie Taylor. Detective Kinkle strolls up to him, very calmly taps him on the shoulder and says, and I love this line, "Catch anything?" That's a great.
So good.
That is awesome.
Yeah,
that's
rules.
a great. That Kinkle must have been so stoked.
Yeah. He's like walking up and he's sort of racking his breath. Like, okay, come on.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Are there any fish around?
No.
Yeah,
can I go again?
Good morning. No, that's not enough.
Damn it.
Did he say, because I just did, or something like that?
I mean, he probably said something like, it's so good. And then apparently Edward turned around and saw a whole team of law enforcement with guns drawn on him. And Kinkle said, "Come on, Eddie, it's time to go home."
Oh, that's good.
That is really good.
That is good.
And he said, "Shana na," and jumped into the water.
Yeah, swam away.
The media had a lot of fun with the story, obviously. Former rocker, con artist, living in Florida. Pretty much everyone in South Florida got interviewed about him, and pretty much everyone says the exact same stuff. There's a quote from Scott Robbins, a club booker that worked with him a lot, who says, when he was told Edward was a murderer on the run for nearly 3 decades, Scott Robbins said, "Well, that's not good. But I tell you what, he put on a hell of a show."
Well, it's not ideal.
Edward ended up serving 3 years in prison. He was released on good behavior 3 years later. So he's a fugitive for 25 years. Does 3 years. Somehow he charms them. He's released again on good behavior. He's still with Jessica throughout this time. 4 years later, he passes away from natural causes.
How long did he have left of his original sentence?
I mean, he was only in jail for, he escaped in 1974, so he would have served less than 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he would have had 20 years left on the sentence.
For a then he
very
escapes serious crime.
Still,
yeah.
A very serious crime. Yeah. So he passes away in 2007. As of 2022, Shah and Na have ceased touring. As of 2024, Nana Shah are still touring.
Nana Shah lived.
Yeah, I kind of I don't really know what the moral of the story is. I tried to find one. I keep thinking like it's a story about invention and about like how nothing is real, like an invented 1950s, an invented rock and roll band, a murderer who invents his identity. I'm not smart enough to come up with a full thesis about it, but I think it says something about America, and I think that's a bad thing. So anyone who's listening who wants to try and find a good thesis in that and maybe get back to us, I think that would be
feels like everyone in the story like wants to believe, like, the band wanted to believe, like or the people watching the band, that's what it was like back then. And then when this guy turned up and said, "Hey, I was in that band," and those other wannabe rock stars were like, "Oh my god, I love you," and then
they wanted
to be in the band with that guy, and even when they confronted him and he said, "No, I'm in the CIA," they're like, "Oh, that checks out. I want to keep playing these shows with this guy."
Yeah, you believe what you want to believe.
Yeah, and he wanted to be something more in his life, but the moral there of him only going to jail for 3 more years.
Yeah. That's not good, is it? I mean, it's like, obviously America is like the land of the grift where you can just sort of be whoever you want to be, and the prison system is broken if they can just let a child murderer just do 3 years after 25 years of being a fugitive. But there's something crazy going on there. But whoever wants to make a movie about it, I'd love a nice poignant scene at the end that wraps it all together, because I don't have one. But maybe the scene is like Kinkle starts his own band or something.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Kinkle and Bender start a band together.
Yeah, Kinkle and Bender start a doo-wop band.
Or to the funeral of Elmer.
Yeah.
And the movie ends, the credits start rolling, but then they freeze. The coffin opens, and Elmer's eyes open, and he said, "Still CIA." And then he winks at the camera. Something like that.
He's faked his death again.
And he misspoke CIA quite a few times as well. That was part of it.
And they left that in.
They left it in.
They only had enough film for one take.
Still CIA.
And then it says like, Elmer Edward Solly will return.
Yeah.
Summer 2025.
Yeah, future adventures of this murderer.
Which was all for CIA, okay?
Yeah, it's all CIA.
It's all CIA. What a tale.
That's I've never heard of that.
No.
That's amazing.
Such a fun story.
It's a crazy one.
Yeah.
It's also weird that there's not much about it out there. There's like 2 long read articles on very obscure true crime blogs. No mainstream, there's no big mainstream New Yorker or Vulture or anything about it. There's no podcasts about it. To me, it's absolutely fascinating that these 2 worlds combined, this bizarre 50s cover band and then like a notorious child murderer. It's like insane. There should be more about it. There should be a movie. And
maybe they just can't think of the ending either. That's the only thing holding them up.
I think you could almost end it with the cop walking up and being like, "Caught anything?" And then just him turning around and seeing, the full force of the law behind him. You could just go to credits from that.
Yeah,
they finally got him.
And then blooper reel, during the
credits. Is that too much to ask? I love bloopers, and I miss them.
Back. Blooper reels need to come back.
It feels like the 90s and early 2000s. Every movie had a blooper reel.
Yeah, so good.
So good.
I was watching There's Something About Mary recently, and that whole credit sequence is the entire cast and crew lip syncing to Build Me Up Buttercup by the Foundations.
Yeah, great.
That's how movies should end. Just like even if it's a serious movie, just the whole cast and crew just singing and dancing to a silly song. That's awesome.
Anyone but you ends with the whole crew or the cast and crew singing Natasha Bedingfield. So that's good.
We do a show about Brendan Fraser, movies of Brendan Fraser, and we watched a cartoon of his, and it ended with Gangnam Style.
Yeah, like Psy, the Korean rapper cartoon came out, started doing Gangnam Style, and then the whole cast, also animated, joined in.
Yeah.
And there was another.
We assumed must have been at the height, but it was a few years after that song was a hit.
But there was another Brendan Fraser movie, Furry Vengeance, that ended with the cast all singing. Do you remember that? All singing a song, and it looked like that they'd spent more money on the post-credit roll than the rest of the whole movie.
Oh no, that's not good.
What was the song? It was bad too.
Just bring back bloopers. You don't have to put any extra money into that. They just happen.
Yeah, true. Even like Pixar sometimes animate fake bloopers.
That's funny.
That's how good bloopers are.
Toy Story 2.
Oh, it was sorry, I've looked it up. It was them all singing Insane in the Membrane.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a
for a song.
Cypress Hill.
Yeah, and this movie came out in 2010.
Oh my god! That is crazy. Yeah, fuck. Well, maybe in this movie, let's just end it exactly that way. Like, a bunch of characters come out, they all sing Insane in the Membrane.
Yeah.
Some of them are animated.
And I forgot that it's a lot of it's Furry Vengeance. There's a lot of animal characters in it, so it's like owls and stuff singing along as well.
Yeah,
So
that's real cool. It's real good stuff. Highly recommend that film. We loved it.
And I highly recommend the film The Rock and Roll Murderer, which we are currently workshopping and working on a pitch to send around.
If any production companies are listening and want to get in touch, want to partner up on this.
Is that what you want us to call this episode? What do you want us to call it?
Insane in the Membrane. Would be good. If you could call it that would be good.
Yeah.
Or just Furry Vengeance.
Yeah, that fits actually.
A movie title I've never heard. I can't believe I've never heard of this movie.
It's him and is it Brooke Shields in that one?
Yeah, is that who plays his
think
wife
so,
in the movie?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
I think it's like her comeback to the big
Yeah,
screen.
it was her comeback, and it didn't go well. And it's Brendan Fraser is is he a property developer or something?
Yeah.
And he has a feud with animals.
Oh my god! I gotta watch this.
Yeah, do yourself a favour. It's an absolute treat. That was great, Cam. Love that story.
You killed it. That was such a great story. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me on, guys. That was so much fun. I've been wanting to do something with that story for ages. I just love it. And it's so crazy. So I was happy I got the opportunity to do it here.
And if people want to see you live, where's your tour going? I know you've already done a few shows, but what are the upcoming cities?
Yeah, I've got Canberra coming up. Then I'll be in Melbourne for the entire festival. I'll be blowing out those Hanukkah candles every week with you guys.
Can't wait.
Yeah. I've got Brisbane, Sydney, and Newcastle left after that as well. And it's a fun show. I've got a big crazy story that's at the intersection of music and crime in mine as well. There's no child murdering, but there is some wild stuff. And I got a lot of songs. It's a good time. I'd love you guys to come along.
Well, I can't wait to see this whole new form of performance that you've invented.
Yeah, groundbreaking stuff.
Yeah, wild stuff.
Real artiste.
I hope it takes off in like the 1930s or something like that.
It's so funny that you're like, I think I've really made something here, and your wife's like, you mean musicals?
Yeah, you made musicals.
You've written a musical. Like, let's call it what it is.
And for people that aren't in Australia or can't get to one of the live shows, you've put out a single recently with a full video clip and everything for your track Boys Night. I love it.
Yeah, I have. Ben Lee, Australian singer-songwriter, has he's releasing a couple of my comedy songs as singles. Boys Night is the first one. I've got a music video for it. Currently making a music video for a second song, which is a dick joke, basically, for 3 minutes. But it's a fun song. That'll come out soon. So, yeah, please check them out. It's very fun. It's goofy fun.
Yeah, it's been in my head for about 3 weeks. So catchy.
I'd love a little do a doo-wop cover of it or something.
Oh, okay. We could get a 4-part harmony going.
Yeah, I mean, maybe a 12-part.
None of us can sing, but we'll try.
It's all one part and they all suck. It's a 1-part harmony.
You guys are doing live shows as well, right?
We are.
Yes, thank you so much for asking. We're doing 3 Sunday afternoons during the Melbourne Comedy Festival. Please come on down to Basement Comedy Club, 3:30 p.m. Going to be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah. It's going to be a
much.
blast.
Well, Cam, you absolutely killed it once again. 4 from 4. Great reports. We absolutely love having you on and hope to have you on again soon. But until next time, I guess we'll say thank you and we'll let you go at this point.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks for having me. And good luck recording the additional Patreon material that you're about to record just with you guys.
It's everyone's favourite section of the show.
Yeah.
Now, Cam, do go away.
Oh, shit.
Bit of fun.
Bit of fun.
Fuck off, mate. Fuck off.
All right, it's time for everyone's favourite section of the show now that Cam James has fucked off. And it's called The Bit of the Show. Doesn't really have a name, to be honest. This is a bit of the show where we thank our great supporters.
Yeah, the bit of the show. Love it.
Love the bit of the show.
And it's everyone's favourite bit of the show because it's where we get to have a bit of fun, but also show our thanks and our gratitude to our great supporters. We do it in numerous ways. If you go to patreon.com/dogoonpod, you can sign up on a bunch of different levels. One of the levels, which get 3 bonus episodes, we're going to start doing ad-free feed. Is that right, Dave? Am I explaining that right?
Well, basically, if you subscribe on Patreon, you support us on Patreon, you're absolutely correct. When the episode goes out on our podcast channel, we'll also put it out on our Patreon feed ad-free.
Ad-free. I mean, if you don't mind the ads, still listen to the ad-full ep because we get money for those.
Yeah, full disclosure. Come in real close for a second. Just come in real close.
Okay.
And if you're one of our sponsors, just shut the fuck up for 2 seconds. Just take your headphones on for a second. You can skip the ads. You can just skip through them. If you don't mind just pressing that little 15-second or 30-second button, depending on what app you use, to skip ahead a little bit, continue to do that because we get paid. And that's how we keep roofs over our dogs' heads.
Okay. I think I'm going to have to... that bit will have to get edited.
Redact it?
Yeah,
just redact bits of it.
AJ, if you can just bleep whatever Jess said, because I wasn't listening.
I took my
it sounded
headphones
like
off.
nonsense
She
to
asked
me.
me to take my headphones off.
Yeah, you can put your headphones back on now, Dave.
What I would say is,
Oh, I'm listening.
whenever you hear an ad from one of our sponsors, go out and purchase their product.
Right.
Support that, the
Use
people that support us.
Use
Yes.
the discount code provided,
That's
etc.
what I would say.
Yes.
But yeah, there are going to be ad-free episodes.
Yeah, if the ads drive you absolutely up the wall.
And
You can do
that does happen to some people.
Yep.
But yeah, there's a bunch of other things.
Yeah,
you
on
have
that
to
same
vote on topics.
Second, on that same level, the ad-free level is also the bonus episode level. So we put out 3 episodes every single month.
That's pretty good value then, if you think about it.
And it's soon going to be 4 per month without even any cost difference.
That's right. We're soon to record our...
We are a little too generous, I think.
Well, it feels like an old school, Ken Bruce has gone mad kind of situation.
Yeah.
Who's in control of this thing?
Yeah.
You know, like we're like a carpet clearance warehouse.
Yeah.
If it's on the floor, it's out the door.
What?
$50 off, $60 off, even $70 off.
You're kidding me. $70 off?
If you were starting the prices
Yeah.
way higher than they are, then we have done that.
So
yes.
if we're being too generous, should we cancel our upcoming recording of season 2 of our Dungeons and Dragons Dugon crossover podcast?
I'll let us know if you think we're being too generous. We'll cancel that.
But otherwise, we will be putting out that in the feed. So you basically get a bonus episode most weeks coming up soon.
Man, that's exciting.
wild
In the month
stuff.
of Feb, yeah, every week.
Hell yeah, Feb. Well, you'll have to wait till next Feb. But still, it's going to be a great month next Feb.
Pretty
October, you get, there's 4 days at the end?
Yeah.
3?
You get ripped off in October.
I'm
Sorry
sorry.
about that. But it's already Blockbuster-tober, so we're putting out a lot of good stuff.
I'm already getting defensive. Hey, I'm saying we're giving you an extra episode and you're giving me this shit? Having a
What was
one-way
that
argument.
sound I made?
Yeah, it was an angry monkey.
Yeah. And that's how I felt
Yeah.
about the abuse you were getting.
Yeah, I thought
for
it was
the generosity.
I thought it was not on. We've had a coffee break. So
They can tell.
I had an apple blackcurrant.
And he is bouncing off
Yeah.
the walls.
that vitamin C hit.
It's literally like it's like a little family going out for lunch. Mum and Dad get a coffee, and our little boy gets a juice.
If a milkshake had been available, I would have. And I'm not even
I
kidding.
know, but I know.
In the past, I
I
would've-
reckon she'd do one for you.
In the past, I was embarrassed by getting a milkshake. Now I'm like, I do not give a shit.
yeah, live your life.
That's what middle age is all about.
Yeah, exactly.
Life's too
Letting
short.
go of standards.
That's right.
Societal
and shame.
standards.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll just do it now.
So hopefully everyone's enjoying this section of the show where we thank our supporters. The first
We
thing
thank
we
you
do.
with giving them ad-free content, for God's sake. We just got to tell people about it.
So
Sorry. I've had an apple blackcurrant.
he's on his juice, right? Mate, I'm pinging.
What's in this juice?
Why are my hands shaking?
I'm scared. I'm frightened.
So the first thing we do is for people on the Sydney Scheinberg level, they get to do something that's called the Fact Quote or Question. And it actually has a jingle go something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
Always remembers the ding. She always remembers the thing.
So this is a thing.
And the way this one works is if you're on the Sydney Scheinberg level, you get to give us a fact, quote, or a question, or brag or suggestion, or really whatever you like. And I read 4 of them out each week. And people also get to give themselves a title. I should say, I don't read them out till I read them out. And that is just to forgive me for any flubs or anything that's a bit effed up that they say.
A bit on the nose.
Yeah.
So, and Dave doesn't mean on the nose as in spot on. He means on the nose as in stinks.
Yeah, stinky. Not accurate.
Confusing saying that, isn't it? It means both accurate and
stinky.
effed.
Yeah.
Sorry for my potty mouth today.
Oh, my God.
So the first one this week comes from Rachel Johnson, a.k.a. the last coconut that was available. Now, sometimes...
Still thinking about Rachel Johnson was once ham sandwich. It's funny.
That's a good bit when just the memory of the bit is given you.
The last coconut, that could be something.
Oh, this is so good. The last coconut available. Okay, Rachel Johnson has given us a joke.
Yeah, love a
Oh,
joke.
please.
And because we're filming these now, I'm like, these joke things, you see them blow up.
Yeah,
they go
yeah,
viral.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm gonna read the joke to you, and you two
Yeah.
have to not try to laugh. Is that the thing that
Well,
goes
the
big?
best thing to do, I think, with any kind of social media is to try really hard to go viral and to like copy what other people
Yes.
are doing.
This worked a year ago.
Yeah. I think authenticity is out.
Hashtag best of 2022.
All right. Here's the joke.
Hashtag dash hand.
All of that, none of that lead up will go in.
Okay.
Because we're being authentic
Are
from
we
now.
trying not to laugh?
Or no, I think the trick is trying not to laugh,
Yeah.
but laughing.
Got it.
Okay?
Yeah, I got it.
I'm already laughing.
Hey, drama degree? I want to see that in action. Let's go.
All right. So Rachel Johnson has given us a joke, and it goes like this.
Dave.
Dave,
I'm trying.
you got to hear the joke before you decide if it's funny or not, okay? What do you call a man with custard in one ear and jelly in the other?
I don't know, Matt. What do you call a man with custard in one ear and jelly in the other?
A trifle deaf. Because trifle's a dessert made with custard and jelly.
Yeah.
I don't think Jess got it, Dave.
I love a truffle.
Are we going to... Do we do it? Are we going viral?
I think that could
Are we
go
viral
big.
right
I
now?
think- I've just seen a number thing ticking over.
Yeah. And it is going quick.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Love the joke. Love a joke. Or joke's always welcome.
Yeah.
Anything's welcome in the fact quarter question. It can be anything you want it to be.
I thought that was fantastic.
That was great. Love it. Thank you, Rachel. The
trifle
last
deaf.
coconut.
Because trifle also means
Like a little bit.
little bit?
Right? Yeah. Like I'm a little deaf. I'm a trifle deaf. That's fun.
that is fun. All right, next one comes from Patrick J. Ely
Oh.
and PJE, aka Chief Executive Detective Inspector of Effectively Detecting Defective Detectors. Oh my god!
See, sometimes they try to stump him, and he barrels through
Yeah, you
beautifully.
step up every
And then
time.
other times he says like he can't say his own name. It doesn't make any sense.
Very true.
You would think you could stump him easily with a tongue twister, and he just no problem through that. And then he can't say like Matthew. Like he just,
Matthew.
it's amazing.
Matthew is a. I did it. That's a tricky name.
I'm so
That's why I
proud
shot
of
it
you.
to Matt all those years ago. Maybe I can lengthen it out once again.
I wouldn't. I
Pat-
don't think you can. Something about like his dick's too old to work now. It doesn't lengthen anymore. Something like that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Oh,
There's
that's
a joke
good.
in there. I don't
That's
know.
a
I
good
couldn't be bothered
concept.
figuring
Rachel
it out.
Johnson, if you could put those pizzas together and send that back in joke form, that would be
Did you
fantastic.
say put those pizzas together?
Oh my god! Did I?
He did. See, that's what I mean.
You get those pizzas together, you get a margarita, but with mushrooms.
You get a half and half, and that's $1 extra for some reason. All right. Patrick's question is, hey mates, is there anything that people say to you all the time that you get really sick of hearing?
Oh, I get sick of hearing you're so talented, beautiful.
I'm intimidated by your eyes.
Yeah. I'm like, I know, but I'm human.
Yes. Dave's normally like staring in through their window when,
Yeah.
when they say that.
Yeah.
Intimidated by your eyes. That's all I can say of you.
And it's intimidating.
It's intimidating. As always, I request the question askers to give a question answer.
Great.
And Patrick's done that saying, I'm really tall, 6'8" or 202 centimetres.
6'8". Huh!
Is that what you...
Sorry.
I bet it is the question, how tall are you?
Yeah.
Oh, or, yeah.
What's the
it'd be-
weather like up
Do you
there?
play basketball?
Yeah, all right. Let's
Yeah.
see. They're three of the big ones. Or I got a tall friend, and one time he was at the train station. This is probably one of the 3 stories I tell on this podcast. But he was at a train station after the footy, and, it was packed out and crowded, and he's on, a platform at Southern Cross Station, and a woman is standing next to him on the phone going, yeah, I'm over here, I'm waving. I'm next to the freakishly tall man.
Adding freakishly doesn't
Right
help.
in earshot.
Tall man in a blue jumper.
Oh,
He's
don't
very
worry.
tall. You'll see him.
He's so tall. He's freakishly tall. His ears are so far away. He'll never hear this. Don't worry about it.
I'm standing next to the freak.
No, not that freak. The tall freak.
Anyway,
Not the smelly
Freak.
freak.
Can you start waving?
Patrick says, almost without fail, every day of my life, a complete stranger will point out to me as if it's brand new information. It got old about 15 years ago, so you can imagine my feelings about it now. This is that he's tall.
You don't get shorter. Well, you do a bit, but not enough.
Today it happened 3 times.
Jesus.
Anyway, I try to be friendly about it, but as soon as I look away, my eyes roll so hard, I might as well be playing marbles.
That's good.
This is a joke? Joke section?
No. I think this is the gripe section.
Yeah.
Hope you're all staying safe and well. I can only assume Dave is especially safe and well since I haven't heard anything to the contrary. Yeah, Dave's fine.
I'm
That's
alive.
fine.
I'm still fine.
Love you lots and thanks as always for what you do. Hey, Patrick, thanks you.
See?
Thank
It's
you.
unbelievable.
Thanks you.
Thanks you. Patrick, faces you.
Patrick thanks us. Patrick thanks you, as in Dave and Jess.
Or the other listeners.
Oh.
Who is Patrick
Who
thanking?
was he thinking?
He said thank you.
I feel for Patrick, and I just want to apologise on behalf of all people that you get asked that so often, because that must be so fucking tedious. I have a cousin who's probably, I think, a very similar height to you, and yeah, he gets it a lot, and it's very annoying. I'm very average in everything, so I don't get commented. I'm invisible, actually.
You'd welcome questions.
I'd welcome just being acknowledged. Quite genuinely, I get cut off a lot, walking, driving, everything. People will just walk into me all the time.
But you feel you're invisible even when driving.
Yeah, it happens when driving, and that's
That's
concerning.
incredible.
That's really concerning. But walking along, I'm invisible. So there's that. I think that, okay.
You do drive an invisible car, though.
And that's my problem?
You have
Okay, good question. Good question.
You
Good
drive
point.
in Wonder Woman's car.
And what? They can't just let me in every now and then?
Am I invisible to you? Oh, sorry. Don't answer that.
My bad. To answer your question, what am I sick of people? What is the question? What
Is
are
it
you,
asking or saying?
Yeah, asking or
anything
saying.
that people say to you all the time that you get really sick of hearing? I get a bit sick of people commenting on my dog's name.
Oh, okay.
But that's my own fault because I named him a dumb name.
Mm-hmm.
But I get a lot of, where's Maverick? Because his name is Goose. People think it's a Top Gun thing.
Jesus.
Or it's old people love to go, doesn't look much like a goose. Like, where are his wings? Stuff like that. And
Well,
I
that's
go,
funny,
and I go, that laugh, you know? And then I roll my eyes as I walk away. I go, have a good day. Shut up. Shut up.
I'd complain to you two about things. Do I ever complain
You?
about some of this?
Oh, you get
Matthew?
You get people say, "How do you get a beard like that?" or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And you kind of like, well, I just let it grow.
I grow a beard.
Yeah, I don't remember being annoyed by that, but yeah, that does. People probably do ask that. Yeah. Hey,
People think you drink more than you do.
oh yeah, that's true. I think I'm a drunk.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I probably put that.
You're
image
only a
forward
binge
sometimes.
drunk.
My problem is that it's the only time I think to post anything on social media.
Yeah.
Dave,
you sick of people assuming you're a virgin correctly?
Yeah, I hate being reminded of it. I think it's not that annoying, but the thing that people frequently say is like if I'm, eating a pie or something and they go, geez, you're lucky to be so thin.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Just
Okay.
commenting on eating crap food and still being quite thin.
That's strange, isn't it? It's strange to comment
but
on.
I don't really care that much, but that's just a common comment to
Yeah,
me.
but don't comment on anything anybody's eating. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
I think sometimes people just think they need to say something.
You don't.
You got to fill the air until you die.
Just shut up. How about that? That's my advice. Shut up.
Just advice.
Yeah. Stop ignoring Jess.
Stop ignoring
and
me.
Shut up.
And shut up. Thank you.
That's all.
Jesus.
And Dave wants you to
leave him alone.
leave him alone, just in general. If he's
Let
eating
the
a
boy
pie.
eat.
Let the boy eat his pie.
Yeah.
He's furious.
Or buy me a second pie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be good.
Now I'll show you how lucky I am. I'm going to eat another pie.
If their comment was, would you like another one? And I would say, yes, please. That's the perfect exchange.
Beautiful.
Sorry we didn't have any...
I had a great answer. Fuck you.
Sorry we had dog shit answers for that one,
I had a
Patrick.
fantastic answer.
Sorry. Dave,
I'm invisible again.
Dave, your answer was fine. But yeah, sorry, generally our answers were dog shit.
And we also apologise for people commenting on your height. That's very annoying.
Yeah.
We feel for you.
You big old freak.
It definitely is them just being like, oh, I need to say something. But you don't always. You can say, how's it going?
A tall person knows they're tall. You know?
Yeah.
Leave him alone.
Next one comes from Michaela McRae, a.k.a. Clarence. On a recent, I recorded an episode in Tassie of Who Knew It with Anthony Morgan, my comedy hero. Which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
And I told him, some reason Clary came up, and I told on the pod the story of how my uncle and his mates used Clarence as shorthand for
The C
the
word.
C-bomb.
Mhm.
They started as Clarence Hunt, became Clarence, then Clary. And he goes, oh, you've told me that before. I'm like, we've met like 4 times. I said, I've only got 3 stories.
And
I think one of them is my friend Dan is really tall.
did you segue into the freak on the platform
Yeah.
story?
Oh, was it Dan?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
is tall. Now I get it. He is a freak.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
that freak. Yes.
No, now that story makes even more sense because it's Dan the tall freak.
Anyway, Michaela, okay, Clarence, writes, mates, have you, especially you, Matt, listened to Tism's new EP, The C Word, from mid-December last year? I've just got my bum into gear and had a listen and I'm bloody loving it. Do yourselves a favour, and if you haven't already, get this into your ear holes and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Uru.
Oh, it's like a question/suggestion, I guess, or
Yeah.
like a recommendation.
It's a great EP. It's only 4 tracks and one of them's like the extended version of one of the other tracks.
Oh,
And yeah, a lot of C-bombs because the album's called The C Word.
yeah, that makes sense, I guess.
But I have listened to it a lot, and also they played it. I saw them in Tassie. That's what I was in Tassie for. And they played The C Word, one of the tracks off that EP. And they played a couple of other new songs, I believe, that are as yet unreleased.
Cool.
which is
I didn't know that
pretty
they
cool.
had put out new music. That's great. Good
Oh
news.
man,
I'm
one
gonna
of
check
my
it out.
I think probably my favorite song from last year was came out as a single before that EP called "I've Gone Hillsong," and it is so good. Like it's so catchy. The guitar riff is it's
Great.
just a real earworm, but it's awesome. And the C Word's another super catchy earworm as well. Bit of Italian, I think, in there. Cazzo. It's clever stuff.
Beautiful stuff.
I understand all the references.
Yeah.
Of course, as always with autism songs, I get it.
Yeah, understand it. Don't need any
Don't-
explanation.
Don't ask me any follow-up questions, but I
Yeah,
get it. And
I
it's
get
very, I did have to go to Google Translate, and it's funny stuff. But thank you for that question and tip, Michaela. Yeah, that is awesome.
I haven't heard it, but I will go. I will listen.
The last track on it, the extended one, it's an epic. It's got this big build. There's like a sax solo. And
Awesome.
it's a lot of fun. And it's sort of all about that song. That is, so the C Word's the one with the Italian, but the other one's get ready to bleep this, AJ. Versus
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about the modern online discourse, I suppose.
You might say it slower.
Oh,
So it's because surely he would have had to beep out the verses there as well.
v.
There it is.
And it's about, like how both sides of the arguments online are, it's like, whose side do you want to be on
Yeah.
when it's cunts v. cunts?
I've forgotten what it's called. Is it v?
Cunts v. cunts.
Ah,
Sorry,
sounds
AJ.
good. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I'm just typing it into Spotify now. V.
Well, how do I type beep into Spotify? I don't know what to do.
We've put special headphones on Dave that live beep because we don't want our precious boy
I'm trying to type it in.
getting corrupted.
It says you are not old enough to listen to this music.
We should add that to the list of topics that have ended up more news about the topic after we did them because TISM were finished when we did
Yeah,
that episode.
true.
They were
That's
done
right.
forever.
How many years ago was that you did the TISM report?
I must have been. I reckon it was 3 or 4 years ago, probably.
Do you reckon?
Oh, I have no
I would
idea.
even say maybe longer.
Yeah, maybe. I honestly have no
Wow.
idea. But yeah, they broke up in 2004.
Yeah, right.
Episode 176, March 2019.
Yeah, 5. What's that? 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Almost exactly.
A couple of days ago at the time of recording, 5 years ago.
That's
And then
crazy.
about 4.5 years after that, they reformed and are doing live shows again.
Yeah.
That's great.
Awesome.
Love it.
I'm
Love
glad
it.
you got to see him over the weekend.
Oh man, that was so good. Thank you, Michaela. Always happy to talk about TISM. Would you believe it? Then the final one this week comes from Nathan Damon, aka Group Dad. I wasn't sleeping. I was just resting my eyelids.
My dad says I was just checking my eyelids for gaps.
I
Haven't heard it, and I like it.
Yeah,
I
pretty
feel
good.
like Nathan Damon is cosplaying as your dad in his
And Nathan's doing
Online
a pretty
persona.
bloody good job, to be honest.
I met Nathan and he I reckon he'd get on pretty well with your old man. Squire.
I don't know if that's a compliment to Nathan.
I mean it as well.
Yeah.
All right, Squire. Good day to you, Nathan. Probably because I met him and he said that he saves up episodes to listen on his long journeys. He drives that huge truck.
Yeah.
The road train.
Yeah, but even bigger than normal
Yeah,
road
yeah.
trains. It's
It had like an insane number of wheels.
And
Yeah.
it's not legal on...
not legal on, not road legal.
Yeah.
Street legal.
Crazy.
Anyway, he writes, it's a shout out. Hi, gang.
Ooh.
Today I'd like to give a shout out to Ash Yates, who is a fellow Patreon here in the greatest state on earth, Western Australia.
Great state.
I got to chatting to Ash when I realised that she was friends with someone I used to work with. It's such a small world. During our chat, Ash mentioned that she hoped that you guys would bring the pod back to Perth soon. I tend to agree with her. What did we do wrong? Why don't you like us?
Oh.
Well, at least Matt likes us. Anyway, a big hello to Ash, and as always, I love your work. Although, on my most recent time, I did cancel at the last minute.
Well, that was COVID related and
was
not your
COVID-related.
fault, and I won't hear anything otherwise.
But we'd love to come back. I mean, we talk about it all the time. Perth, Adelaide,
Yeah.
Hobart. We talk about all these things all the time. Canberra, Brisbane, Sydney.
New Zealand.
Yeah, definitely. And it's the kind of thing that, when all of us have the gap in our schedules, we'll get it happening.
And Perth is the extended flight, which means it costs more, so we have to do a bit more planning and...
Yeah, it's just a bit
Yeah.
more. Yeah, we have to get those flights booked in advance.
Yeah, but we have booked the flights in advance, and otherwise we're doing the one where we're leaving at midnight there, and because of the
No.
time difference, landing at home at 8 a.m.
I
and
won't
it's
do
like-
it.
I did it once and I hated it.
But the good thing is that we'd be losing money on the on the trip.
That is good.
That is the good news.
But what a great time we had. The one time we went. I'd
Oh,
love
it was
to-
so
love
good.
to go back.
Ice creams.
Ice cream. Shut your lid, you toilet. We just yelled the whole way home.
Yep, I heard you coming.
Probably annoyed half of Northbridge.
I was already home and I heard that coming. I said, oh, here they are.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry, Perth.
I wasn't asleep.
Sorry, Jess.
I was up. I was doing cool shit.
But I love Perth, and there's great venues there that we could go to. I did the Who Knew It over there in Oasis Comedy Club. There's also the comics. Where do we go?
The
last time?
Lounge.
The Lounge was
Yeah.
great.
Comedy Lounge and a couple other.
So yes, it's definitely
Brisbane Hotel.
keep bringing it up, and we it is in the back of our minds as well. We talk about it all the time.
We don't hate you.
No, we love you. If
We
anything.
love you. Sorry to, say that too soon.
Yeah, we're trying to play it cool, but it's hard because you're so fucking
So
smoking hot,
fucking
the best
cool.
state in the world.
Oh, dude, so fucking cool.
How dare you?
Thank you so much, Nathan, Michaela, Patrick, and Rachel. Next thing we like to do is shout out to a few of our other great supporters. Yeah, that's right. This is only just beginning this section, which feels like it's going to be a long one tonight. But yeah, Jess, we come up with a game. We shout out 9 more people now. What do you reckon today?
Well, Cam said the name for this episode would be the Rock and Roll Murderer, right?
Yeah.
So what if we gave them some kind of cool title like that? Maybe not murderer,
Yeah.
but maybe a genre of music.
Oh, that's fun. So genre first and then like a something.
Yeah.
I like that.
A noun.
All right. Maybe I can kick us off then with the
Sure.
first 3. I'd love to thank from Fishers in the great state of Indiana in the United States. It's Charity Rose Elkins.
Charity Rose Elkins.
See, already-
this is going to
already
be,
good.
whatever we do here is going to be worse than,
Charity Rose Elkins.
yeah.
What about the hip hop?
I was going to say hip hop. Oh, can you believe it?
God!
There's so many genres. Okay, the hip hop frog.
Hip hop frog.
Okay.
I said hip hop, a hip to the.
I think I'm getting closer to understanding what this entails.
I said a hip, a hop, a rib, a ribbit.
The next one, so Charity, what a beautiful name. Hip Hop Frog feels like a step back.
Huge downgrade, yeah.
Sorry.
They're just warming up. Give them a chance. Okay, the next one.
We'll circle back around.
I'd love to thank from York in Great Britain. That's the Viking country, isn't it? Remember we met those handsome Vikings?
We hear it's posh.
You wouldn't stop telling them how handsome they were.
Whoa, what do you do when you meet a handsome person? You keep, oh no.
You keep telling them how
I've
handsome
done it.
they are.
Yeah, they're sick of it.
And that actually, no, I want to change my answer from before. I'm sick of people stopping me in the street and being like, you are stunning.
You're a handsome Viking.
And I say, thank you, but I'm just trying to do my groceries.
I've heard it all
Please. I'm on the phone.
And when you say doing your groceries, you're talking like a zucchini or something. All right, so the next one the Jesus Christ reaction made me feel really bad.
That's when you know you've gone too far. Oh, okay. There's the line.
Jesus Christ.
Pull your fucking head in.
I'm just doing my groceries. It just was...
That's a normal thing that people say.
Is it? Oh, yeah, I've never heard it. Never heard it before. Oh, not in this context.
I'm doing the shopping, by which I mean a carrot.
I thought I toned it down by switching from cucumber to zucchini, but...
A classier type of vegetable.
It's a little softer. I don't know.
It's not what you want. Soft is not good. They're just mushes.
Have I even got to the end? From York in Great Britain, please thank William Hamilton.
What about the jazz?
Grocer.
Oh yeah,
That's good.
I like the innuendo.
The jazz grocer, that's a drug dealer. That's a weed dealer.
Yeah, that's right. Jazz.
You know, like jazz cigarettes
Right.
and a grocer.
Or like the Honda Jazz, which is a drug dealer's car.
Yeah.
Jazz, isn't it funny? Jazz is just like, it's a music,
Wow.
but it has become somehow a euphemism for marijuana. Isn't that interesting?
Marijuana. Very interesting.
But he can't say Hanukkah.
Marijuana. Yeah, if anyone knows how to say it, let me know. I did look it up in our coffee break, and the tutorial said it like I say it, so I'm confused. Anyway, from Ashland, oh my God, in God's country itself, Ohio, please thank, oh my God, what a name, Brandon Clinker.
Oh, cheers.
Oh, yeah, okay. What about the grimy cheers? The grime cheers. Grime.
The grime cheers.
No, that's no good.
But grime is definitely a good starting thing.
Okay,
isn't it?
great.
Yeah, grime. The grime.
What's the second? I forgot what you said the second part had to be.
Just like a noun. It's like
Oh,
something.
okay.
What about
Yeah,
the-
cheers is not a noun. So I missed it by quite
What
a
about
bit.
like the grime skateboard?
Oh, the grime skateboarder.
Skateboarder.
Grime skateboarder.
Okay, great.
Because the first one was murderer. You know, so I'm just...
Okay, yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
their title type thing. you know?
Okay.
The grime skateboarder.
Okay, yep. I think we got it.
I think that's pretty good.
I did say we're
grime
going to start
skateboard's
off
better.
slow.
Grime skateboard's better. All right, yeah, no, we'll get this.
I mean, again, Brandon Clinker is... in my head, I was going cheers for clinker, like cheersing the glasses.
Yeah.
That's where the clinker... But I forgot that is not... Oh, this has been a tougher one. All right.
Shall I thank some people?
I think we go back from the top.
Let's start again. But I'm going to thank some people.
Okay.
I would like to thank from...
I would love to thank... Okay? The shoe's on the other foot now, isn't it? Oh, no.
You feel like a big man over there?
Jesus Christ.
That's what happens.
Don't worry, Jess, we've got him on the ropes now. He's questioning everything.
It's only funny when you do it, mate. When everybody else does it, it's just a normal human thing.
Yeah, when someone else stops up, you're just kicking someone while they're down. All right?
When it's you, you deserve every
You
fucking
piece
shred of
shit.
it.
Yeah. Oh, maybe he's down. Well, can we find a deeper hole to push him in? Sorry, Jess.
Thank you, David.
You absolute angel of podcasting.
I would like to thank some people. Yeah. I'd like to thank from Ilkeston in Great Britain, Dan May.
Dan May. Okay, what about the Rockabilly?
Ooh.
Bargain hunter.
Oh!
Now we're talking.
That's
Love
good.
the
That
Rockabilly.
is good.
They call me the Rockabilly Bargain Hunter.
That rules. Goes around to vintage fairs, finds all sorts of cool stuff,
That's great.
flips it, makes a lot of money on
I
it.
love
Oh, yeah.
Everyone's like, oh, he's just got such a good eye for it.
Dan May. Rockabilly bargain hunter.
Oh, that felt good in my ears. It
Yeah.
massaged a part of my brain
Thank
that
you.
hadn't been massaged. I would also like to thank from Squamish
Oh, my God.
in
Squamish?
Canada.
Squamish.
I'm definitely saying that wrong, but it does ring a bell. I would like to thank Gooch McNuts. I mean, it was written there in front of you, Dave, but it still really got you.
Oh, it's funny. I've just never heard that word out loud before.
Gooch
Gooch
McNutt.
I've seen that written down so many times. Gooch McNuts, you know, you sometimes
Yeah,
you
every
see
time.
a word, but you
Say
just
it all
never
the time.
heard it out
Gooch
loud.
McNutt's from Squamish. It's amazing.
Gooch McNuts.
Oh,
The-
genre of music. Electropunk.
Yes. Electric punk conductor.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So it's got a bit of an extra thing with electricity conduction.
Yeah.
Train
Yeah,
conductor.
that's smart.
Looked at that's
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Gooch McNuts. I mean, I would have said, how can you top Gooch McNuts? But we did.
We just did it.
We just did it. Oh, and by the way, just for the English people, I just saw. How did you say this one? You know how English words are always never
It'll
what
be
they
like
look like.
Ilkeston. Ilkeston.
Ilkeston. You actually, that's pretty close.
I think I said like Ilkeston. Ilkeston. All right, so if you were midway through a tweet, backspace, my friend, and never come for me again.
Never come for the Queen.
And next I would like to thank from
Never come for the Queen. Don't chop that out of context. It's not good life advice. Come for the Queen if she wants you to. You know what?
But only if she's asked.
Only if she's asked.
We can't stress that enough.
Can't stress that enough. Always come for the Queen if requested.
Yeah, when instructed. Next, I would like to thank from Winter Park in
I was
Florida.
talking about the Queen of England as well there.
From Winter Park.
My queen.
From Winter Park in Florida, I would love to thank Lauren Boy.
Lauren Boy, the new wave.
Oh, hair.
Dresser.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
I like that when we set each other up like that.
It's a new wave hairdresser.
The new wave hairdresser.
Like
I
that.
can only imagine what Lauren's hair is. It would be pretty
it's
cutting
wavy.
edge. Pretty cutting edge.
New wave.
Yeah.
Am I remembering this right? That like a cheap brand of hair gel was called New Wave?
Possibly, yeah. That does ring a
You know,
bell.
like with a purple or
Yeah.
red
Yeah.
lid and clear.
Purple, pinky lid, and it's clear, and it's really goopy.
Yeah. Super goopy.
Super greasy.
New wave hair gel.
Yeah, something like that, I reckon.
Yeah, I can see the logo even. Maybe it was like
Hair gel.
was it someone's face in profile and then like a few lines for
yes.
their representing their hair?
I think that was it's a
Might have been a
that's
different
a brand, but that product might have been called New Wave. I don't think New Wave was the brand.
Oh,
Right.
okay.
Anyway,
Vague memory.
it does. Yeah, it's a very vague memory. Dave, do you want to thank some people as well?
I'd love to,
Bring
but
it
I'm now
home.
looking up new wave hair gel. All right, let's stop
Fair
this
enough.
madness.
No. You
I'll
take your
continue
time.
on.
You let us know when you're ready.
I'd like to think I'm ready. From Seven Hills, New South Wales, Leah XX.
Oh, what about some death metal?
Oh yeah,
Death Metal Princess.
I like it.
How good's that?
Death Metal Princess XX.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Thank you so much. And I would like to thank from Cranebrook, also in New South Wales, it's Dan Parker.
The folk
Oh, yeah.
Juggler.
The folk
juggler.
That does sound like a murderer somehow.
Yeah.
None of the words point directly to
But it
murder, but it
does.
sounds like a murder.
They
Yeah.
call me the folk juggler.
me the folk juggler. And I'm going for your jugular.
I think you could almost say anything in that voice and it would be scary. I think you could do like wedding vows in that and I'd be like, oh.
Do you take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife.
Oh my God, I hate
It
that.
sounds like you're about to pronounce me man and knife.
It's the best. It's the best line that has ever been written. Do you think when they wrote that, they just like high-fived, shut
So
their
many.
laptops and left? Like,
They would have just emailed it to all staff. Check out what I've just written.
yeah, that is so good.
We'll riff the rest of the script.
Don't worry
Built
about
the
that.
movie around
Yeah.
it.
So good.
Finally, I'd like to thank from Nottingham in Great Britain, or Nottingham, it's Hattie Bacon.
Oh
The
my
show
God.
tune Strangler.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Hattie is this our best ever batch of
Well, we
names?
started with Charity Rose and finished
Yeah.
with Hattie Bacon.
Yeah, and everything in the middle was good stuff.
Yeah, we had Clinker in there,
Yeah.
Gooch McNuts, of course.
Yeah,
Leia.
really good stuff.
Thank you so much to Hattie, Dan, Leah, Lauren, Gooch, Dan, Brandon, William, and Charity. And the final thing we need to do is welcome a few people into the Triptych Club. Now, this bit of theatre of the mind, people have been signed up on the shout-out level or above for 3 straight years. They get welcomed right into the Triptych Club. I'm standing at the door. I've got my clipboard. I've got 4 names on the list this week. Just behind the bar, she's working on sometimes snacks, sometimes a cocktail, sometimes both.
Yeah,
Dave's booked a band. What have we got to serve tonight, Popper?
I just got some chips and salsa.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I didn't have time, so I just went to the supermarket.
Well,
and-
that's honestly a relief. We haven't been able to eat in a while. Getting a little bit hungry. Just want to check on the temperature spice-wise of the salsa, first of all.
Spice-wise, it is too hot.
Oh, okay.
Was
It is.
spicy.
Yeah, it's like it's white. We're very white,
Okay.
Yeah. right.
but it's too hot.
And what can I just... It's room temperature, though.
It is ice cold.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's very cold temperature wise, but because I put it in the freezer.
I might just have the chips by themselves.
Okay.
They're fresh, though.
I think that might be. Is that?
Yeah, it was this.
Oh.
They're fresh, though.
Yep,
Not too hot.
they are quite spicy.
Okay. Okay.
I'm not entirely sure what you guys want from me, to be honest.
Edible food.
Digestible.
Can I ask you a quick question? I have a factoidal question. Can
Oh,
I share
yeah.
it? Can
Oh,
I
yes.
share it? Okay, so I saw this on a TikTok and we talked about it for ages last night as we went to sleep. Okay, so on one of your hands, doesn't matter which hand, each 5 fingers can dispense 1 beverage. What are the 5 beverages?
Coffee.
Yep.
Water.
Yep. Great start.
Orange juice.
Okay.
Beer.
Yep.
Does it have to be specific?
Probably. Like it can probably only be 1 beer.
Okay.
1 beer is better than no beer, isn't it?
Yeah.
But here's the thing too.
guess.
You can still go buy drinks.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Other drinks still exist. These are just like what you have on tap ready to go at all
Yeah,
times.
okay. Like, I think my go-to is, like the Kaiju Crush
Yep.
Tropical Pale.
Great.
But I don't know if that's... Anyway, and then last one, Scotch.
You've done very well.
Okay.
No, I just mean like decisive for you.
Right.
Normally it's like, well, no, let me think about it. And we'll be here for 4 hours and it's so I'm impressed.
I'm
And there's
saying
great
like
answers.
a really good Scotch.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be, but just a good
Something- Scotch.
Something so good you've never even been able to have it.
Yeah, but now
That's
you've
right.
got it whenever you want it.
Something beyond your wildest dreams.
And that one's worth quite a bit of cash. I'm just like,
Yeah.
go to music festivals and people are lining up at the bar. I'm just setting up my little stall in the background. You want a little pinky whiskey?
Yep.
Have a little nip.
Straight in the mouth?
Easy.
Yeah,
Better for the environment. No cups.
exactly.
No plastic. Dave?
Okay, I'm going to go water 1,
Yep.
full cream milk 2,
Okay.
OJ.
Yep.
I'll probably also have a beer, some sort of pale beer in there.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, I've been thinking about this. Is this allowed? Hollandaise sauce.
Well, it's not a beverage.
Well, it is with the way I drink it.
That's gross.
Okay, if I can't have that.
How could you want that much
Hollandaise on it.
hollandaise?
Hollandaise on it. Hollandaise on it. Whatever you put down, I'm hollandaising it. Can't even say it. I've said it too many times.
I guess I could allow hollandaise if it's that important
If that's not possible, I'd probably also go coffee, even though I don't drink it, but I could bring a lot of joy to other people, like
That's
my
right, yeah,
wife
that's
and things
nice.
who drink coffee every day.
Yeah.
You want a coffee? Absolutely.
There you go.
But then would it get annoying with people asking me for coffees all the time?
Oh, yeah. I guess it'd be annoying with all of those.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Potentially.
maybe it's smarter to just have awful drinks and no one will want.
Bin water.
But then you don't even get to benefit.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, like, what do I spend the most money on? What's going to save me the most money?
That's a good.
Here's my initial list. I did end up having to change one of them
Okay.
just for, like, logic, but this was just the fun answer. I would go water, coffee, like hot coffee, but also an iced coffee.
Ooh.
I'd have an iced latte one and a hot coffee one.
Oh,
just
that's a
anytime.
good idea.
Because I drink more hot coffee, but when you want an iced latte, nothing better. And they're usually more expensive. Then I would go like a soft drink, maybe just like a lemonade, like a little bit of fizz. And then the last one, margarita.
Ooh,
Oh, that's good.
Margaritaville.
I'm now thinking that I should sub beer out for a pina colada.
Yeah.
That would be more fun.
Because even if you think about it too, you kind of go, if I went to a bar, I could just buy, because I could go vodka or something. I can't drink wine and stuff like that. So that's pointless.
You just be quietly in the corner with a glass going.
But if you think like I'd like a vodka, well then you can just buy that. But a margarita is always going to be more expensive, isn't it? So
And it would be the perfect marg for you. You'd work out the system.
exactly right.
But one of those you had to sub out?
Yeah, I ended up subbing out the iced coffee for like a meal replacement shake or a protein shake type thing.
Oh, my gosh. Just put hollandaise
Just so I
on
always
it.
I didn't even think about banana smoothie or something.
Yeah, just because I don't get enough protein, like, so.
And I think you just let your latte go cold. Put some ice in it.
No,
or
it's
whatever.
not the same.
I don't mind. I'm happy to drink a cold coffee.
I think I want to just go with my first answer because it brought me joy. I want
Yeah.
both coffees in there. Fuck it.
But you make iced coffee by putting hot coffee on ice, don't you?
Yeah, and cold milk.
Well, you can have one of my fingers. My index finger's ready to go.
I don't want one of your fingers, mate. Not how you say it like that.
I think, yeah. Oh, it's good bringing new meaning to a finger of scotch. And when my dad said to me that time, we still talking about scotch? And I said, Dad, do you understand? So we'd had a pretty big day and we went out to a concert and we came back and we're just having a nightcap at his place and I'm pouring the scotch and I go 2 or 3 fingers and he said, we're still talking about scotch. I said, Dad, do you understand?
Dad, just tell me what you just think you've said.
Yeah. Because if you were saying that to, like, somebody you were flirting with, maybe that would be a bit cheeky. But to me, your son?
I thought it was very funny.
That's very
Anyway,
good.
Anyway, that's a great hypothetical.
I
Feel
told
free to
that-
ask your friends.
Great hypothetical. I never heard that one.
Please.
I
Ask your
told that
wife.
story one night in Adelaide and the crowd were like, ugh.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, not one for public consumption.
So say it on the
I think
podcast.
maybe
That's good.
But we know your dad.
Yeah.
I mean,
He was just trying to do one of those, that are not in that order
Yeah,
sort of
yeah,
jokes.
yeah.
That's what she said, but
Yeah.
not thinking of it through
Yeah.
to the point of the alternative would be pretty fucked up. Anyway, we've got 4 people coming in today.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the Patreon group on Facebook, someone's got to remember to start up the chat. What would your 5 fingers be?
Yeah.
Anyway,
I've booked a band.
booked a band. Who we got?
You're never going to believe it. Cam came on this week. So that's going to be a music topic. I was like, oh, that's a bit of a coincidence because I usually book a band and they're a music act usually. And I was like, well,
Band is music.
Yeah, I thought that's as big as the coincidence will get.
Yeah.
And then he said Sha Na Na, and that didn't tweak for me. But then he said Johnny Casino and the Gamblers, they're here tonight.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
my, playing all their Grease mega hits.
That's awesome.
And maybe the Grease mega mix, I don't know.
Perfect. Play it at every function.
Yeah. So enjoy.
Oh, that's very exciting. All right, Dave, now you're on stage. You're emceeing, you're hosting.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hype up these 4 names I read out. Jess is going to hype you up because, you're fragile.
Don't worry, I've already got my hand on his bum.
Okay, so first up.
He likes it.
Yeah, it's comforting. It's good.
Especially now that you know what her fingers can do.
What?
Give him a little squirt.
Are we,
What?
Are we still talking about Scotch?
What?
I'm on a what?
What?
Okay, come on. Let's welcome
Let's
these.
get this
They've
done.
been waiting here all night, these
Jesus.
people.
If you hear your name, please step forward from Arlington in Texas in the American States United. It's Joel Ackland.
Joel, you make me feel whole.
Yay!
From Chenside West in Queensland, Australia, it's Caroline Clancy.
Caroline Clancy. 2 impressions in 1. Is that enough?
Very good.
What was the first one?
Don't worry about it.
Isn't that an outcast? Does you
Yeah.
say that?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Awesome.
Impersonation you saying
sorry,
a word from a song. From
No. Stop. Caroline, I'm feeling fine.
From
Clancy, I'm feeling fancy.
Yeah.
Yes.
God, he's good.
From Earlville in Illinois in the United States, it's John Mulligan.
John Mulligan, you make me feel young again.
Yes.
Do you want to take a mulligan on that one, mate? That means have another shot at it. Bit of fun. And from Montrose.
Unbelievable.
Is that true?
Yeah, so in golf, if you
have a mulligan.
you can say, I'll take a mulligan on that
Oh,
one.
fine. I will, actually. John, I feel honoured to have you here tonight.
Is that not a mainstream term?
I never heard it, but it made so much sense that I couldn't believe it was real. Thank you.
And finally, from Montrose, here in Victoria, it's Craig McQueen.
Craig, you are my Mick King.
Thank you so much, Craig, John, Caroline, and Joel. Please make yourselves at home.
Hey, just wanted to say sorry about all this.
Yeah, sorry about all this.
Sorry about all
But
this.
everything
We got a
shared.
bit excited. We're still a bit excited Dave's back, and we can't stop talking.
And I won't. We had a coffee.
Okay.
I don't think I need to explain.
And Dave had a juice.
Dave had a juice.
Yeah, obviously, that's a big deal.
And we should have said it, but yeah, just squirted these drinks out of her fingers.
I didn't have juice on one of mine, so don't ask him what his is.
Oh, my God.
What's that red juice you
Apple
squirted
blackcurrant
out?
juice is
Oh, my God.
not good, my friend.
Jesus Christ. Hey, well, if you want to support us on Patreon, we're about to record a bonus episode, so who knows how loose that will be. By the time you're hearing this, it will be up. So that's something to look forward to, as well as 200 other bonus episodes in the back catalogue. So get on there, patreon.com/dogoonpod. But is that all we got to say?
Just that we love them, that you can suggest a topic at dogoonpod.com, or there's a link in the show notes. And you don't have to be a Patreon to suggest a topic. Anybody can. So get in there. Get involved.
Boy, get in there.
Get in there. Have some fun.
Have a go.
If you think you've been missed on a shout out, let us know.
Yep.
And
also-
let us know via the Patreon DMs. That's the best place to contact me.
And if supporting us on Patreon isn't something that you can do, that's okay. There's lots of other ways to support podcasts. Like us on social media. Follow us along there. Tell your friends about it.
Like The Guardian said recently, we've been going too long to be not that popular, or whatever the quote
Yeah.
was.
It was quite nice. And it was like top 5 podcasts to listen to this weekend.
I
or
know, I
something.
took
We
it as a
appreciate
nice thing, but I'm like, oh, could we be more popular?
Should we be bigger?
Is that popular? I mean,
So-
possible? Fuck.
So, yeah, tell people about us. That would be really lovely. And we love you. Dave, boot it home.
Hey, Comedy Festival's coming up in just a few weeks. Go see Cam's show. Can't recommend him highly enough. We're doing some live pods. Matt's doing his stand-up show with Surenjai Man, a previous guest that we all absolutely love. So get along.
It's called Dryer.
Dryer. Comedyfestival.com.au for tickets, all that sort of stuff. But apart from that, we'll say thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next week. And until then, it's goodbye.
Later. Jesus Christ.